chatting it up. Also, I just hit that green little button on my little OBS right here. What that means is that I am also now live on the YouTube Shorts vertical format. So depending on how you want to view these things, you could watch it traditionally, horizontally, like any other video online. Or if you prefer the TikTok, Instagram, mobile phone version, mobile phone friendly version, you could watch it there on vertical format as well. I like to provide options for everybody. What's up, everyone? It is Friday.
It's Friday, Friday, gotta get down Friday.
Let's go. Wake up. I'm actually surprised Star-Lord's up and about. He's usually still sleeping around this time. So it's nice to see him up and at him. Hope everyone enjoyed their July 4th holiday. If you were celebrating here in the United States. If you weren't, I just hope you had a great Thursday in general. For a lot of people who have extended weekends, holiday weekends and all that, I hope you are continuing to enjoy your weekend. And if you have some awesome plans, I would love to hear them. What are you planning to do for the holiday weekend? For the rest of your weekend, what are you up to? And if you are unfortunately not off today, well, I hope you are slacking off big time because you deserve it. It's the day after the holiday. And slacking is encouraged, especially if you're watching this live stream right now. So, what's up, everyone? Starlord, what's going on? You're barely up. Jester, I love the comments about the morning parking lot twerks. Definitely much better than She-Hulk. Have I ever had dipping dots? I had dipping dots a long time ago. I think the last time I remember ever having dipping dots was a trip to the Science Museum a long time ago, before they started popping up at movie theaters and all. I think that was the last time I had it. I thought it kind of freaked me out that there were like these really like frozen pellets that you would just ingest. I guess similar to like ice cream. But yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't see that, because usually you could buy them through like a vending machine, right? Dippin' Dots, not dipping dots. Is there a difference? Am I confusing something? What is Dippin' Dots? They are a better ice cream. Dippin' Dots. I'm looking this up right now. It looks almost the same. Am I wrong? Did Dippin' Dots take the Dipping Dots phenom and improve on it? Surprised that this 4th we didn't see much fireworks. Yeah, like I mentioned, I don't know if you heard me say this yesterday, Star-Lord, but the Macy's fireworks, well, or are you speaking about where you were? It was, oh, you're talking about how you pronounce it. Well, I call it dipping dots, but I know it is dipping dots. That's how you really are supposed to pronounce it. I know. You know, funny enough, after I streamed yesterday, usually the celebrations continue throughout the evening, which there was a splattering of fireworks that were happening throughout the evening, but nothing like it was in previous years. So I did find that interesting myself too, especially in my area, because my area, people usually go nuts with that stuff, but not so much yesterday. I wonder if, I don't know, maybe people are not around because it's like a extended holiday weekend. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. It's like dip in the dots with your spoon. Yeah, I just remember thinking that it was kind of weird. You know, these like I said, frozen rabbit pellets that you're eating. That's almost like ice cream-ish. But I haven't had it recently, so I don't know if it maybe they changed the formula or anything like that. But I don't know. It's been a long time since I've had it, and I remember at the movie theaters normally they would have like these kiosks or vending machines that would where you could get them from. I haven't seen them around anymore, so I'm sure they've removed them or I don't know. There's my the theater that I go to in Queens. They have this cart where you're supposed to be able to get ice cream, but never once have I seen it open. They have a sign on it that says, was it credit only? But no one, I've never seen any person man that cart, that ice cream cart. And I think from there they serve dipping dots. But I've never seen it open. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if they've lost faith in the whole Dippin' Dots thing, or if they rather just sell your crappy ice cream fare that you paid $10 for. What a waste of a good view. Yeah, I know. Yeah, overcast. The Macy's fireworks were on the Hudson, which is on the west side. I have a view of the East River, which they normally do it, especially for the last 10 years. So it was a waste of a day, a waste of a view for yesterday for me. But it is what it is. Yeah. What did everyone get up to after yesterday's stream? I'll tell you what I got up to. I watched this movie right here. Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. I'll be talking about that movie in a little bit. Yeah, for today's stream, I'll be talking about Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Big F. Not saying that the movie's a big F. Just saying his name, the Big Foley. So I'm going to be talking about that movie today. Recapping the movies of June, kind of like ranking them as far as like what was my favorite, what was my least favorite. And then I thought, given that we are now halfway through the year officially, it being July 5th, it would be like a good time to kind of look back at all the movies that have come out this year that I've seen in the theaters and kind of just see how we've been doing as far as the movies landscape is looking at 2024. It's been a doozy of a year. In my opinion, there have been a good amount of decent movies, but I'm pretty sure most people didn't watch them. So I think now would be a good time to kind of recap all that stuff. And, maybe talk about some movies that maybe you never considered watching that maybe you may change your mind and want to see it. Or maybe the opposite. Same can work both ways. So we'll see what happens. It is on Netflix, yeah. This. It's funny. You would think that something like Beverly Hills Cop, they would consider releasing in theaters, but I'm kind of glad they did it. I think this is a perfect streaming movie, in my opinion. What's going on, Michael Jackson fan chiming in on the vertical live stream? Do I like Michael Jackson? I love his music. I grew up in the 80s, so I grew up with his music, and I love all of his stuff. So I guess you could say I do like Michael Jackson. And I'm assuming, based off of your name alone, you're a big Michael Jackson fan yourself. And if that's the case, favorite Michael Jackson song, go. And everyone else here in the chat, what is your favorite Michael Jackson song? If you're a fan of Michael Jackson. Starlight, if you're barely awake, I pretty much, I hope you're drinking some coffee. Like I am. I'm drinking some coffee right now, along with some water. I need to be hydrated because I need it. I need it today. Every song is your favorite? Not a miss? I wonder who's that one person who would be, I don't know, at the club, at a wedding, at a party, and when a Michael Jackson song pops up, who's that one person that doesn't dance or doesn't be like, "Oh, snap, it's MJ," and just doesn't react? I wonder who that person is, and I would like to meet that person, and I would like to say, "Are you okay? Is there something wrong? Are you not happy? How can you hear Thriller or Beat It or Billie Jean or Smooth Criminal and not want to get up and dance?" I want to know who that person is, and I want to make sure that person's okay. What's going on, Scorched You? Chiming in on the vertical stream. Happy Friday.
It's Friday, Friday. Gotta get
I hope you're having a good Friday so far. I hope you enjoyed the rest of your July 4th. Well, Scorched, that is allegedly. let's take the guy. Let's not talk about the stuff that happened behind the scenes. Look, he had a rough childhood. I'm sure he was really truly messed up mentally in the head. It's kind of a shame, actually, if you think about it. Let's just talk about the artist and the songs. You can't deny that he has a lot of amazing hits. He was a pop icon like no other. I guess what, modern day you could kind of say Taylor Swift is that big of an icon now. But I think nothing compares to Michael Jackson. Jester saying Smooth Criminal or They Don't Really Care About Us. Great choices. Love those choices. I'm not about to dance next to MJ. That's true. I wouldn't do that either. I would be completely embarrassed. And quite possibly violated. Some would say he's just a gay icon. I don't know if I would say that. He's definitely an icon of the time. What's going on, Tiny G? Tiny G in the house. What's going on? Happy Friday. Hope you're having a good day, morning so far. Afternoon. How's everyone doing today? What's everyone's plans for the rest of the day? Obviously, outside of me watching me stream. Way bigger than Drake or Kendrick. Oh, absolutely. Like I said, you will never see another phenom in music that became such an icon worldwide like MJ. You'll never see that. You know, like I said, the closest you'll get today is Taylor Swift. Because you can't deny that everything she does, people just gravitate towards right now. But nothing compared to like Michael Jackson back in the day. What's going on, Love Bug? Nice of you to chime in on the vertical stream. And Arnold's in the house. What's going on, Arnold? Hope everyone's having a great Friday or had a great Friday. Like I said, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you out there. You love my hat? Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is the Japanese national hat in baseball when they won the World Series. I think they beat the US. You love the Truman Show quote? Thank you. That's one of, I wouldn't say one of my favorite movies, but I always remember that movie. And I love that line that he has. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I love that. Michael Jackson's Super Bowl performance was great. Oh, that's one of the best Super Bowl performances ever. Hardly any humans as famous as him. Very true. Bob Marley is famous, but um, again, not you can't match it or compare it to how big MJ was. It's kind of the only other, I guess, being you could ever compare that to is like, I don't know, Gandhi. I don't know. It's so weird. It's so weird to think about. I'm doing all right. It's 12:54 in the afternoon, so I'm getting through the day. Loving it. Tiny G is playing Pokemon. Are you still playing the same Pokemon game from yesterday? Arnold's watching football. What match? What match? Who's going at it right now? James Brown is an icon. He is. Well, Bob Marley is big because of his attachment to such a political movement, especially in his country of Jamaica. So, he resembles a lot of messages of peace, going against suppression, government, all that stuff. Plus, he is also an icon when it comes to the weed community. So you can't, help but state that. I'm not saying he's not big. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's kind of unfair to put him next to Michael Jackson because it pales in comparison. Germany versus Spain. Oh, snap. I didn't know that was today. All right. That's a big game. So I could imagine how big that match is for you. So good luck. Fingers crossed. I have no dog in the race, so I'm just like whatever. Do I like Madonna's music? I did. Madonna was another icon of the time too. And I liked a lot of her. Again, I grew up in the 80s, so everything in the 80s I'm a huge fan of. I loved Madonna, Michael Jackson. I remember listening to Duran Duran, Culture Club, Flock of Seagulls, you name it, I loved it. So big 80s music guy. Tiny G is trying to unlock 7-star raids. Oh, they have raids in Pokemon? I didn't know that. I will still be around in an hour. Yes, I should be. At least a 2-hour stream today. Of course, I don't know about Pales. I'd say the look of Bob, he's more recognizable for non-English speakers. Very distinctive. Yeah, I don't disagree. But I think anytime Michael Jackson gets brought up, you're gonna have, I think, more people recognizing that name over than Bob Marley. Or it could be equal. I don't know. Eddie Murphy made songs that were good. Well, he had that one hit, right? Party all the time. I just want to party all the time, party all the time. He should do a remake of that song today. I think that would be so funny. That would actually crack me up if he did something like that. I remember when that went on the radio for the first time. I'm like, and then they said, here's a brand new single from Eddie Murphy. I'm like, what? Eddie Murphy has a song? And he just gets into it. It's that classic 80s pop song that really, yeah, like you said, goes hard. It's like the minute it goes on, there's like no holding back. And he's just having a good old time. You got to respect that. What's going on, Thomas? It's been a long time since I've seen you around. Nice to see you back. I agree. 80s was a legendary time in music. How you doing, Thomas? Who's the worst music artist? Oof. That's a hard one. I don't know. Chat. What do you think? Who would you say is like the worst music artist you've ever heard? Hey, what's going on, MI? Am I here? Back? Chiming in on the vertical stream. How you doing? Happy Friday. Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi are bigger than Taylor Swift. Well, let's be fair. We're sticking to music. Last time I recall, Ronaldo and Messi never put out a hit single. So if you're just talking about in general, yes. There's a lot of, especially in the football realm internationally, those stars are major icons. Have a pool party to get to. Oh, snap! Jester getting down with the pool party on a Friday. Enjoy your pool party, brother. Have fun. Party it up for all of us. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the water. People you heard on American Idol. Actually, that's a good point. I would say one of the worst musical artists I've ever heard personally was, what's that guy? Justin Guarini, the runner up of the first American Idol, the year Kelly Clarkson won. And talk about Michael Jackson. That was his major draw, if you remember, if you ever watched that show. He was known for singing Michael Jackson songs. You know, Pretty Young Thing. That was like his big hit. But outside of that one song, he couldn't sing anything else. Thomas is good, just chilling, about to go on a trip to Devon. Is it Devon or Devon? By the way, did you ever get the results of your tests? I know you were like really stressed out about that. How did you do on your tests? Also, don't forget, y'all, don't forget, hit that like button if you're just joining the stream. Would greatly appreciate that. Everyone here in the chat will be very happy the more likes we get on these streams. I guarantee you. So if you want some good karma, hit that like button. Does anyone even watch American Idol anymore outside of like grandparents and my mom? I saw an ad for it recently. I forgot what I was watching, and then they popped up. It's like the new season of American Idol. And who they got? They got Howie Mandel is still a judge, right? And then who else? Who else do they still have on there? Heidi Klum. Katy Perry's not on it anymore, I think. Who did I see on it? They still got Simon. America's Got Talent. Yeah, that's another big show, right? I went to a taping of that many years ago when Howard Stern was still a judge. And it was an interesting experience. Scary Spice, for a brief moment, sat in a seat right in front of me because she was talking to someone that she knew in a row in front of me. So that now I could say that I was very close to Scary Spice at one moment, and she looks gorgeous in person, I have to say. Tiny G saying 1 like equals 30 minutes. Trying to extend the stream. Thomas, you get your results in August. Got it. Okay. Fingers crossed. We will await your results. You could let us know. Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Just like I remember I was sitting there. I was actually on a date, believe it or not. My date had tickets to go see a taping of American Idol and took me on this date. And I was like, "Wow, really? Okay. Oh, you're already impressing me." Unfortunately, that was our one and only date that we had. But I remember all of a sudden I just see Scary Spice walking down the aisle, like waving to someone in front of me. And she just comes in, sits down, starts chatting, and I got to say, like, "Oh, there's Scary Spice right there." Yeah, Scorch. I was saying that in person, Scary Spice was very, very pretty. And then I remember during that taping, I yelled something at Howard Stern, and he just looked and pointed at me. Now you have to understand, growing up in New York, listening to morning radio, Howard Stern was like a major icon to me. Major icon. I feel like one of the reasons why I do what I do now in this kind of same format is because of my love of Howard Stern and how he approached entertainment and all that. So, just being able to see him somewhat in person like that was just, mind blowing to me. Thomas is heading out. Thank you so much. I'm glad you stopped by to say hi. And I hope that you have the rest of your evening. Evening? Is it evening for you now? I believe it is. So, and if I don't see you, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. He does cut through the crap. I mean, he gets a lot of criticism now because, he's older and all he does are interviews. And he's not as shocking as he used to be. But you got to admit, he does a really damn good interview, And I think there's only so much you can do as far as shock value, especially when you get older. You have to adapt to the time and you have to adapt to your audience. So I respect that, but I admit I stopped listening to him for a long time because I felt like I kind of outgrew that type of entertainment. But for the longest time, I used to subscribe to Sirius XM just so I could hear his show every week. So, he'll always be someone that I consider to be an influence as far as like whatever I do here on the channel. And that movie he did, Private Parts, I think that's one of the greatest comedies of that era, of that time period. It was so good, so well done. And for me, it actually holds up because I think I saw it like 2 years ago. It was good stuff. Yeah, I do that sometimes too, Starlord. I will sometimes, my feed will sometimes pop up like old Howard Stern clips, and I'll watch it, and I'll say, "Oh man, I remember hearing that for the first time." It was sad when I guess this is going back 2 or 3 months ago, or is it 4 months now? When I heard Ralph passed away, I met Ralph at a comic book convention here in New York, and I had a chance to just say hi to him and say, "Hey, what are you looking forward to at the con this year?" Blah blah blah, this and that. Because Ralph was kind of a nerd, big major nerd. So he was kind of awkward and shy. But it was kind of sad because I know how close he was with Howard. So I know like when he passed away, that was kind of sad to hear about. Mi, what do you think of the controversial things Sturt has said and done? Think he really means it? Well, what, for example? He said many things. So do you have like a specific example? Reminder to drink water. That's right, everyone. Here's your reminder to hydrate. I appreciate that reminder. Now we have Joe Rogan talking constantly about the purpose of aliens. That's so true. That's so true. But it's funny. It's like I've never listened to a Joe Rogan podcast, but I can't imagine that he is as entertaining as Stern was, in my opinion. I know he creates an environment where you could just free to be yourself, but I don't know. I feel like with him, he just focuses on a lot of drama and a lot of conspiracy theories and all that. At least Stern talked a lot about entertainment, the industry, and all. So I can't say that I'm a fan of Rogan, but I can understand why people like him too. So I totally get that. Again, reminder to everyone in the live stream, don't forget, hit that like button, por favor. Muchos gracias. De nada. Wait, I can't say thank you to myself.
You blew it!
What the hell's wrong with me? Most vile thing I've seen him do is when he had these young women on his show stripping naked in front of their dads for money. I actually remember that. Look, I'm not saying everything Stern did was decent. I'm not going to say that. He's done a lot of crazy stuff. He has. And when you look at it now, I will say that a lot of the stuff he does not fly today at all. But you also have to understand at that period, that was during a time where he was just trying so hard to push the boundaries of entertainment. And there's something, there was something there about shock value. And he made a business out of it. How far can you go? What's the craziest stuff you could do? Right? So there's definitely major shock value at that moment. And it worked. It worked. But of course, looking at those things now, I would say, yeah, that's kind of rough. I don't think it's funny now, but it's crazy. It's crazy. It's a different time. And I don't disagree, You're saying it's disgusting. I don't disagree at all. It's not cool. But at that time, when, let's see, you had things like Jackass starting to roll out for the first time. You had Opie and Anthony on top of Howard Stern. You had Bubba the Love Sponge doing his crazy crap in Florida. That was entertainment, And the fact that he got away with that stuff during morning radio was unheard of. So yeah, it's crazy to think about now, but there's stuff that happened also in the 80s that it's not really that acceptable today. It's all based on period, But I'm not trying to defend it either. But imagine trying to do that today. There's no way that will ever happen today. No way. So I don't disagree with how you feel about that. Stoller. Howard would say, screw aliens, get a job. Try to work on Uranus. Scorch, what's Red Bar? Is that a guy? Is that a person? Tiny G also forgot to see you have 2.5 gallons of water in you. Well, most of our bodies are made of water, so I'm sure it's much more than that. Or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know science. Red Bar Radio. He's like a modern Stern. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Where is his platform? Because nowadays no one really listens to radio. So is he on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes? Everywhere podcasts are heard. Isn't that what everyone says? Check out the So and So podcast. You can find it everywhere podcasts are heard or found. I should know because I used to say that all the time when I was doing my podcast, which is on hiatus at the moment, but it'll come back. Well, actually, technically, this is a podcast, so I'm still doing a podcast. I'm drinking a lot of liquids today, y'all. I'm still recuperating from yesterday, so I apologize if it looks weird that I'm just drinking a bunch of water and stuff and coffee because coffee doesn't really hydrate you, so I feel like I need the mixture of two. All right, let's talk about. I think now is a good time to jump into one of the main topics from today for today, and that is no acolyte shills allowed. Well, hey, I welcome everybody. Just be respectful in the chat. Um, but let's talk about this brand new movie that hit Netflix on Wednesday, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Kind of a weird name too. It's almost as if they got lazy writing his name. It's just like, I don't want to spell out Foley. I'm just gonna put F. But let's see. We are now the last Beverly Hills Cop movie. Beverly Hills Cop 3 came out. Hold on. Beverly Hills Cop 3 came out in 1994. So we are literally celebrating the 30-year anniversary we are 30 years removed from the last Beverly Hills Cop movie that came out. And that's a long time. And I should say also that Beverly Hills Cop 3 was a crappy movie. It was so boring. I remember just watching it around that time and wondering, what the hell am I watching? This just doesn't make any sense. Why are we in this amusement park? Why is he doing what he's doing? Blah, blah, blah. But when you think about what they were trying to do there, it was, and I think I mentioned this on a stream before, they were trying to do a little parody on the Disney company and the Disney theme parks. So I kind of get it. It was like a nice little jab at Disney, which was very interesting. But the first two movies are classic movies, especially the original first one. My funny story about that is when the first Beverly Hills Cop came out, and I believe that was 1984. 84 or 83, let's see. 1984, yeah. 1984, so that would make me 6 years old when that movie came out. And I remember a relative of mine took me to watch it in the movie theater. It's a rated R movie. Obviously, it was not a movie for me to go watch in the theater at that time. But this was the 80s, and they were a little bit more lenient on who can watch movies at the time, as long as I was accompanied by an adult, which I was. And I remember I knew who Eddie Murphy was because he was really big on Saturday Night Live, which I was always a big fan of. Of course, I remember his portrayal of Gumby or Buckwheat and those little skits that he does. And I found the movie to be funny. I thought it was entertaining, even though I was too young to really understand a lot of what was going on. But that is a movie I've rewatched multiple times throughout the years as I was growing up. For me, it's still one of those classic 80s action comedy movies at the time. You don't really see a lot of movies like that anymore. So it is definitely very interesting. And it helped propel Eddie Murphy to be this very versatile, just performer. Not only does he do stand-up, but he also can do comedy, and now he could do action. And, we've seen him do drama. He just blew up into this, talk about iconic star. And as we also mentioned, he had a hit single too. But the great thing about Beverly Hills Cop is the action, the comedy, the chemistry amongst the characters in there, and the soundtrack. And this was during a time when movie soundtracks, you would find singles from those movie soundtracks in Billboard's top 10, right? That's just how iconic those things are and how important soundtracks were to movies at the time. I think it's hard for me to remember the main premise of the first movie because it's been a long time since I've seen it. But I remember it's, you get this guy who goes to Beverly Hills because somebody that he used to work with, a colleague or a relative, I think, got themselves into trouble. I think ended up getting dead. So he's trying to investigate what's going on in Beverly Hills, even though he's from Detroit and all that, because I think they were partners in Detroit or something. That's how he meets up with Rosewood and Taggart, who were police officers for the Beverly Hills unit there in California, and hijinks ensues, right? And of course, his way of being a cop from Detroit doesn't mesh very well with how things are done in California, yada, 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 all that stuff, right? And it led to hijinks, action, all that good stuff. And I think they were dealing with drugs and corruptness, whatever and all. And I think part 2, they stepped it up a notch, made it more explosions, more firepower. Rosewood was really big into guns, and he had a bazooka and this and that. So it led to, again, more action-packed stuff, right? And I think the second movie came out in 87 or something like that. And then they waited a very long time for the third movie to come out in 94, right? And obviously, when the third movie came out, I think most people were thinking, this is probably going to be the end of it. We're not going to be able to see another Axel Foley movie, which is fine. Because I don't think a lot of people had attachment to Axel Foley. I think people just had an attachment to Eddie Murphy himself and would just love to see whatever Eddie Murphy did moving forward. And of course, it led to roles like Norbert and the Nutty Professor and, the Clumps and all that stuff. Again, his career exploded and he was very big for a while, right? But yeah, 30 years later now, we're finally getting a Beverly Hills Cop movie, Beverly Hills Cop 4. Unofficially Beverly Hills Cop 4. This is Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley, as the title dictates. It's Netflix. And, as we were talking about it earlier, it wasn't released theatrically. You would think they would think about that. But I think they knew that these type of movies, one, won't do well in theaters anymore, right? 2, we are so long removed from the last time we saw Beverly Hills Cop that let's just stick it to Netflix. People will watch it more. There will be more eyes on it, and I'm sure it will do well. Very similar to the same mindset that they had on Amazon when they did Coming to America too, right? I will say this. This movie is 10, maybe 20 times better than Coming to America 2, at least. And it's definitely better than Beverly Hills Cop 3. I found it to be entertaining enough. The story felt like you combine Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 and you regurgitate it and you come up with Axel Foley, Axel F. Yes, they do address how everyone's getting old. Paul Reiser, he's kind of retiring from the force finally. Axel is struggling, getting older, but he still wants to be a beat cop. He still wants to be on the streets, but maybe he can't keep up anymore, and his hijinks just doesn't seem to gel with today's modern age and all. The reunion between Rosewood and Taggart, you could kind of see that they were just trying to give us more of what we were used to from the first movies. The chemistry is still there. The timing is a little off, and it felt forced, the little bickering back and forth that they used to have. But they made sure that they dropped all the little bits of nostalgia pellets all over that will make you say, oh, I'm watching a Beverly Hills Cop movie. I remember this, even down to the pacing of the original movies. That was all kind of done, and it. I felt like I was watching an old Beverly Hills Cop movie, and I thought it was interesting the way they addressed kind of his age. Him not being able to be as quick or fast. Not a lot of running involved here. A lot of stuff happened within cars. And I think that's a brilliant way to kind of disguise the fact that he can't do the action stuff anymore. So what do we do? Well, one of the first action scenes, driving a car through the city, trying to chase down criminals. What do we do the first thing he's in Beverly Hills? Hijacks a car, a cop car. That's like those little tiny tricycle cars or whatever you want to call them, and hijinks ensues as he's driving around, Beverly Hills and all. And what's the next big action scene? Oh, here we are in another car driving away, or a car chase scene or whatever. So they do what they had to do in order to still make you believe that Foley can do stuff, right? And the main climax ending or big action moment at the end takes place in the house, in a mansion, big shootout. Rosewood and Taggart show up to help out, all this stuff. And I'm not spoiling anything here because you don't know how we got to that point. But if you remember how the ending of the first Beverly Hills Cop movie was, that's exactly what you got in this movie. It's almost like a one-to-one recreation with some like differences thrown in here and there. Of course, one of the big differences is too that we are being introduced to his daughter, and it's a very typical father-daughter storyline. Father was never around. Daughter kind of has resentment towards that, but we find out that the daughter is very much like the father. Hey, we're kind of alike, blah, 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 this and that, and they're trying to rekindle their relationship and ever. So a lot of that stuff was going on. And, we get a new character introduced, which is Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character. And they had good chemistry, I would say, between the two of them. So overall, it was entertaining enough. They made sure that they dropped the same sound beats. So all the music that you remember from the original Beverly Hills Cop, they made sure to drop most of those songs. Neutron Dance and The Heat Is On. And of course, the Herbie Hancock, Axel Foley theme song is still playing around. It was Herbie Hancock, right, who did the original theme song? I could be wrong, but I believe that's correct. The only thing missing was the Patti LaBelle song, which I really love from the first movie. Maybe because of licensing, they couldn't get that song. But everything that they dropped, you remember. The one thing that threw me off that I thought was really just poorly done was I forget, there's some person who did a remix of the Axel Foley Beverly Hills Cop theme song and tried to make like a hip hop version of it. And it, for the action scene it was attached to, it felt like a huge mismatch. So that kind of threw me off a little bit. And the ending, I felt like they didn't know how to end the movie. And what they did is that they had to throw in another nice little throwback to like the original Beverly Hills Cop movie, a nice little wink to the audience, because everyone was waiting for a moment where you can have the three OG characters back together, bickering back and forth and all that stuff in the car. The only thing that was missing was him sneaking behind the car and sticking a banana in the tailpipe, right? I'm glad they didn't do that, because if they did that, I would have turned the thing off immediately and I'd be like, nope, can't do that. So they didn't do that, but they gave us a little taste of that at the end there. And that's pretty much how the movie ended. So yeah, entertaining enough, but nothing really to, they didn't invent the wheel here. They're not trying to reboot the thing. At least I don't think so. But, it's a nice nostalgic throwback to Beverly Hills Cop. And I would say like, I logged it on Letterboxd this morning. I gave it a 3 out of 4 stars, but I did like it. 3 out of 5, sorry, 3 out of 5 stars. And I did heart it. So I did like it. But I don't think I would ever go back and rewatch this. It entertained me. It gave me something to watch. And I was just like, oh, it was fun. Nothing that really stood out. I thought Kevin Bacon was great in it. And I think Kevin Bacon is having an interesting week with this movie coming out on Netflix, Maxine coming out in theaters. So he's definitely going to be in people's minds and in conversations this week for those who have watched those movies. But I thought he did a great job. I like what Kevin is doing now in his later years in life, popping up in a lot of these franchises and doing interesting stuff there. So yeah, overall, it was an okay movie. It was decent. Would I recommend it? If you're a big fan of the original Beverly Hills Cop movies, I would say go for it. Check it out. I think you would find a lot of fun things happening. You would, again, just like me, nice little throwbacks. When Bronson Pinchot showed up as Surge, you're like, oh my God, it's Surge. He's back. And, the comedic timing is still kind of there, but he's definitely much slower. And they try to reuse the same jokes like they did in the original movies. There's this one new character who is like his friend, who is like a real estate agent played by Nassim Pedrad. And she is hilarious. I believe that's her name. She is hilarious. She is really funny. A lot of her moments, it cracked me up. Honestly, it really did. So I think like she did a really good job. And they did a good job casting her in that role. And there was one other scene that really, really had me laughing a lot, because just the timing of the comedy and all. It's when he shows up in Beverly Hills and he's already investigating things. And like I mentioned before, he hijacks one of those like tricycle cars, kind of what the meter maids use when they're giving tickets, because the car that he rented is getting a ticket and he's trying to say like, I'm a cop. And she's like, she's not having it. So he just steals her little thing and starts driving away, and looks like he's getting away with it. And he looks over and she's hanging onto the side of the car. And he's like, what are you doing here? It's like, you think you're going to get away with this? I'm not letting you get away with this. And because the thing moves so slow, she was able to catch up and just hold on. And everything he's trying to do she's not letting go. And she's like, I'm not letting go of this. And she keeps spraying him with pepper spray, which is like hilarious. And he's like screaming. He's like, you don't have to use up the whole can. That had me laughing. I thought that was really, really freaking funny. So there are like little moments like that sprinkled out. And just like any Beverly Hills Cop movie, they had a lot of like investigating and looking into this and looking into that while they're doing that. And he's like looking into this and looking into that, and he's doing it with his daughter. So it's like, oh, look, father-daughter moment, and so a lot of cool stuff like that. So yeah, like I said, overall entertaining. I think if you're a fan of the original movies, you would find this to be a nice little throwback, a nice little like nod to, hey, we are in the world of Axel Foley. It's nice to be back, even for a brief moment. And there you have it. That's why I say this is a perfect streaming movie, because I think if you went to the theater to watch this, you may have been disappointed. At home, it seems to sit a lot better, so I'll say that. It definitely is a way better than Coming to America Part 2. So let's see here. We watched the reruns. I'm not too far removed. We get it. Old age is hard. Yeah, that seems to be like a common thing, especially when they're rebooting or bringing back a lot of these old characters. They have to somehow address that, right? Like you can't be Axel Foley in 2024 and do the same stuff you were doing in 1984. And they even mention that. They mentioned that in the movie. Paul Reiser and him are having a conversation. It's just like, you're not the same Axel Foley running around the streets of Beverly Hills. So, it's they do address it, and I feel like you kind of have to address that because that's what everything is wondering. Chris, I think so. Chris is chiming in on the live stream in the vertical format. Wait, this is live? Kept thinking I'm watching a pre-recorded short. Everyone, Chris needs help. But yeah, I'm very happy to see you on the vertical stream. I hope you enjoyed your July 4th. And I hope you're having a good Friday. Yes, this is live. I am live. Hello. It is 1:33 p.m. Axel is a fox. He never slows down. It was only in the first movie he did that prank. Yeah, I know. But the reason why I bring it up is because I feel like the typical move to do is, hey, let's remind everyone why they love the original. So we got to reuse the same jokes, right? And that was like a major fear of me seeing this thing. You know, very much like I remember coming to America too, they had to like reuse some of the same things that were like big laughs in the first movie. So, yes, Chris fell for the banana in the tailpipe joke. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah. But, you know, it was, like I said, it's a fun movie. I'm not going to bother talking about spoilers in here, but it's a very typical storyline. And like I said, it feels like it feels like you're watching a combination of the first two movies, you know. And I'll tell you the premise, and I guarantee you could kind of guess on your own what's going to happen. So obviously, you have the daughter who is a lawyer in Beverly Hills. She's trying to represent a criminal who's accused of shooting a cop. You have the police force in Beverly Hills, one that's trying to investigate the situation, and another division of the police force investing it because that person who got shot is one of their own men. So they're all trying to figure out and solve this whole mystery as to did this guy really do it or whatever. And there's opposition to the daughter of Axel representing said person. She gets in trouble, hence why Axel has to go back to Beverly Hills to make sure her daughter is okay, and then try to find out what's happening because somehow Billy is involved in the whole situation and Billy's gone missing. Now, with that premise out there, I would love to hear your thoughts as to where is this story going. Also, let me remind you, Taggart is the chief of the Beverly Hills PD. Kevin Bacon is a head of the separate division where his cop was the one who got shot. And they're both trying to figure things out. So, where do you think this story goes? And I'll let you know if you're heading down the right path. Oh, no. Chris, I'm sorry to hear that you got into an accident the day before July 4th. Dealership site mentioned got it serves that they inverted the oil plug. Oof. That's a big mistake. That's a big mistake. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope everything's okay. I mean, at least it doesn't sound like anything major happened, which is good. Billy was always gone. Well, yeah, he was always, you know, he was a little extra, as the kids would say, right? I will say Judge Reinhold, it was good to see him back, and the guy who plays Taggart too. But man, it's tough getting old, man, and you could see it when you look at them, especially when you compare them to Eddie Murphy. Oh boy, probably went stock up in a doomsday bunker. Because they gave me a rental until it gets fixed, and warranty covered the transmission replacement, 6,000, but have to pay a deductible. Well, I mean, it's better than paying a lot more than I'm sure you would have had to pay. So it sucks. I know how it is. You know, cars. They're very much like pets. Like you try, it's nice to have one and you care a lot about it. But the minute something goes wrong, you pay so much money for it and it sucks. So I know the struggle. The struggle is indeed real. So yeah, so I'm curious, like who here has already seen it? But if you haven't seen it, who's planning to watch it? Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Axel F. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know you didn't have to pay 6K. Yeah, deductibles are usually like $100, 200, 300, at maximum 500. So, like I said, it's better to pay that than the whole amount, right? So, Stoller, haven't seen it, but I would really like to. I think you would enjoy it. I think kind of understanding or knowing your taste a little bit in movies, I think you will enjoy Axel F. It's kind of weird to be calling it Axel F. It just sounds like a weird title. Why couldn't they just call it Axel Foley? Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. As in fuck you.
Fuck off!
Or that. I will also say this too about Eddie Murphy, because apparently it's very clear that he has some sort of deal with Netflix right now, because he did that Dolomite movie, and now this movie. I think he did another one that I probably didn't see. That I kind of like that little partnership that they have going on there. I think he's doing good stuff with Netflix right now. So um, I think he's learned his lessons from Coming to America too. And I think he's trying his best to avoid that because that was a complete disaster. Axel F backwards is F and A. Well, technically it's flex. Flexa. Flex A if you're Canadian. Don't hire you for slogans. Hey, that was a nice attempt. You tried. A for effort. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up this cast here. Because I want to see if this lady appeared in anything else. The person I mentioned. Let's see. How come she doesn't even show up in the casting? This makes no sense. Let's go to one of my favorite websites, IMDb. It's not really a favorite of mine. I hate this site. They messed it up. Let's see. Let's do some searching music. Here we go. Nassim Pedrad. Well, apparently she does a voice in Despicable Me 2. She was in the Aladdin live action movie. She did a voice in Angry Birds, Young Jedi Adventures. She did a voice in Wish, voice in Big Mouth. Hmm. A lot of voice acting. A lot of voice acting. Not a lot of like live action acting. Very interesting. Well, she was hilarious. Hilarious. She's like one of the funniest ones on the in the movie. Tiny G keeps failing his Pokemon raid. I'm sorry to hear that. What's going on, Rajesh? Thank you for chiming in. Got to do a dance with the search music. It is a very catchy song, isn't it? In case you didn't know, that is from Mario Paint. That's a classic tune from Mario Paint. I think that was the song that played when you were trying to save the game or when you were in the save section. Oh, let's do this. All right. We now officially have 4 Beverly Hills Cop movies, right? So if I were to rank these movies, uh Beverly Hills Cop 1 is number 1. I think this is going to be very easy, actually. Beverly Hills Cop 1, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley or Axel F, and then Beverly Hills Cop 3. There you go. That was easy. Goodbye, everybody. That's the show. But that now leads into what I would say is a perfect time to talk about the movies of June. Let's talk about the movies of June, what I've seen and how I would rank them. Because we are now in July. And in July, it's so funny. In the month of July, I've already seen 3 new movies and we're only 5 days in. But yeah, I digress. This is just what I do for a living. Kind of. Chris saying 1, 2, 4, 3 for you, but you haven't even seen part 4 yet. So, but I'm pretty sure you're gonna think along the same lines when you do. Looking back in the month of June, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I saw 9 movies, new movies in the theater in the month of June. And let us go through each movie and let's see where they would rank. What was my favorite? What was the thing that stood out the most? And maybe we could talk about what was also very disappointing, because there is definitely that as well. So let me pull this up, make sure everyone can see it. What's the best way to do this? I guess I can do split screen here. Split screen here. Yeah. I think this works. This works. Let's see how this looks on the camera. Yeah, I'm okay with this. All right. So the way I go about these rankings is I'm going to look back on the new movies I saw. Again, the ones that we're talking about here are brand new movies I saw in the theaters only. I'm not going to count movies I rewatched. I'm not going to count, revisits or anything like that. Brand new movies I watched that were released in the month of June in the theaters. So, Beverly Hills Cop 5, Axel's Gran Torino, where he's just going to be a racist retired cop with Asian neighbors. I will say this also, going back to the Beverly Hills Cop conversation real quick. There's a lot of the same type of humor he uses from the original movies, a lot of like the racial humor and all that. And some of it was funny, and some of it was just kind of like, okay, really, you're gonna try to do that now. But I think Eddie Murphy gets a pass because of his delivery. And I think it's still it still got some chuckles out of me, you know. So all right. So yeah, so I'm going to go back through these movies. I'm going to look at what I rated them, and that's how I'm going to start off my ranking. So I think the number one movie for June for me is going to be very easy, and that's going to be Inside Out 2. Inside Out 2 was the only movie. Hold on, let me make sure I make this bigger here. There we go. Inside Out 2 is the only movie that I gave a 5-star rating out of every new movie in the theater I saw in the month of June. You've heard me talk about it multiple times. It is a very emotional, well thought out story, well directed, well performed, great messaging that will hit not only kids but adults. Very relevant stuff that you could really follow and be able to relate to. And good comedy, but really it's the emotional storyline that really got me on this one. There's a reason why it's doing so well at the box office. So definitely my favorite movie of June was Inside Out 2. What's going on, Adit Yadav? I'm just going to say Yadav. What's going on, Yadav? I hope you're having a good day. Thank you for chiming in on the vertical stream there. So get off my hill. Get off my California lawn. Oh! Wow, that's funny. It just hit me. Eddie Murphy didn't have his laugh in the movie. Not once did he do his typical laugh. Wow, that's so bizarre. That just hit me right now. I don't recall him doing his trademark laugh in the entire movie. Oh, that's so strange. That's so bizarre. Wow. Okay. All right. So there are a lot of movies I gave 4-star ratings to in the month of June. Bad Boys Ride or Die, Tuesday, Thelma, Kinds of Kindness, A Quiet Place. You know, those are all the movies I gave 4-star ratings to. So let's break it down here. I would say my number 2 movie, and this is again my personal list here, my number 2 movie of the month of June was Kinds of Kindness. I'm a little biased because I'm a big Yorgos Lanthimos fan. And for me, this movie was just up my speed. Was just my speed. This was just my movie. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Anthology movie, 3 short stories, don't really kind of relate to each other with the exception of this one reoccurring character that kind of ties it all into one thing. But I love Kinds of Kindness. You know, I thought Jesse Plemons was fantastic. Emma Stone was just Emma Stone. You know, I just think it was very nice to see Yorgos working with these performers, especially people he's worked with on Poor Things like Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone and all. Just really enjoyable movie, and I liked it a lot. And again, my type of movie. Not going to be for everybody, but it's definitely my type of movie. So really, really good to see that. Started make Eddie laugh again. What's going on, T? T in the house. Nice to see you here. He said he switched up laugh because of other comedies impersonating it, or like comedians. Is that true? He really said that? He should just keep it, own it. That's his laugh. It's trademark. You know, he's known. It's such iconically attached to him. It's amazing to me that he doesn't just carry it on. And like I said, one of the things I always remember from the original Beverly Hills Cop movies was his laugh. You know, he'll just say something funny to Rosewood or Taggart, or he'll notice that they're doing something. I'm like, you know, whatever that laugh is. So, yeah, I'm saying this year is all about remakes or sequels. Just watched Reel on it too. Well, I think that is a very, and no offense to you, I honestly feel like that's a very lazy criticism, because every year has a certain amount of remakes and sequels. That's just how Hollywood is these days. But if you actually take the time to watch movies, not just the big blockbuster movies or things that they're trying to market to you, there are many unique movies that come out every year. It's just a lot of those movies people don't watch. So again, no offense to you. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I personally think that is a very lazy criticism of it. Because yes, my number one movie of June is Inside Out 2, but look what my number two movie is. It's not a sequel, it's not a remake, it's an original movie. So, and you know, you'll see as I go through this list, there's going to be other movies that I watch that are original, that I'll mention in my top, top 5, top 10. So, even though you're not wrong, there are a lot of reboots and remakes and sequels, but every year we see that now. That's just where we are in Hollywood. Starla, did he say he will do another comedy special? He might laugh there. That's what's missing. He did stand up when he first made those movies. I think I heard him say in an interview that he doesn't want to do stand up anymore because the environment has changed so much that his form of comedy will not mix well with today's audiences. And he doesn't want to be clipped out. He doesn't want to be canceled. He doesn't want to, he's just trying to avoid all of that. So I don't think he will ever see Eddie Murphy do stand up again. Arnold is back. How's the game? What's the score? Where are we at? How's Germany doing? All right. My number 3 movie of June, after Kinds of Kindness, would be, I will say, A Quiet Place, Day One. I really had fun with this movie. I am also a little biased with this personally because I just love this universe. I love this world. I think John Krasinski has done a great job with the first 2 movies, and now this movie, handing it off to another director, still involved in producing and all. Lupita Nyong'o's performance was great. It was awesome to see Djimon Hounsou in there. Joseph Quinn was also really good. I want to see more of him outside of Stranger Things like that. So it was great seeing him in a role like this. They had great chemistry. It was a very entertaining movie, and it wasn't very long. The way they play on the whole negative sound aspect and sound being a driving force in all of these things, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So my third favorite movie of June is A Quiet Place, Day One. T, for real, can we see Raw in today's time? No, we cannot. Raw or Delirious, those type of comedy shows, we will not be able to see replicated again in today's environment, unfortunately. Yeah, so it is what it is. At least we can go back and watch those specials today and, put our mindset of the 1980s or 90s and enjoy it for what it is, Arnold, it is extension 1-to-1. Ooh, all right. Let's see what happens. I'm sure you're getting kind of nervous. All right, my 4th favorite movie of June would be Thelma. Thelma was a big surprise to me. Thelma was something that I didn't know much about going into the movie itself. I just heard some buzz about it. People were saying that they were looking forward to watching this movie. And when I watch it, major surprise, and I loved every moment of it. Maybe I'm in a time in my life where I can relate to stuff like this. Everything Thelma does reminds me of my own mom. And basically it's a nice, sweet story about, an older lady who still wants to be very independent and doing her own things. She's being kind of controlling from her family. And unfortunately, she gets scammed, and she's, she dedicated the rest of her time in this movie to get her money back from said scam. And basically, you just follow her go on this kind of Mission Impossible type of adventure. And they do use Mission Impossible as like the catalyst to encourage her to want to do all of these things on her own. So I really, really enjoyed this movie. Great performances by the lead actress here. I forget her name right now, but Richard Roundtree is in this movie too. I believe this was one of his last roles he's ever done. So I really thoroughly enjoyed Thelma. I thought this was a well done movie. The actress's name is Squibb, Julie Squibb, June Squibb, something like that. But really, really enjoyed this movie. Star-Lord has Raw on DVD. I do too. I do too. I even have it on VHS. That's how much I love that comedy special. Arnold's asking, what did I think of the Star Wars episode? This last episode I saw. So I talked about it quite a bit in yesterday's stream. I liked it. It's the first time I watched a Star Wars episode where I actually took notes. I have a bunch of notes, and I'm going to be doing that for the rest of the series and for House of the Dragon, so that I can show, kind of when I could talk about the things that really stood out to me. But what I loved about it was how it kind of flips the parallel between the two sisters, right? And I'll take a break from this and just talk about this real quick. I love how Kimir and Saul are reversing their roles in that episode. Saul was acting more of like a dark side type person, very emotional, very unhinged. Kimir was very cool, calm, collected, being the teacher, being the person who's trying to enlighten Osha, very much like a Jedi, right? So I love how they were very, very much like switching roles here. I also love how you could kind of see that Osha feels very comfortable around Kimir, even though she's very hesitant, very comfortable, but May feels very uncomfortable with Saul. So who's really the bad egg here, right? Who's really the weird one here? So I love how they kind of play off on those things there. And there was a lot of things that they explained that I thought was necessary for the general audiences who doesn't know much about things like cortosis and all that. But yeah, I thought it was a very well done episode. I really, really liked it a lot. Oh, I know. I know. I knew you wouldn't be able to make the stream yesterday because it was so early in the morning for you. So I wasn't even expecting it. But yeah. So I really, really enjoyed the episode. Star-Lord, we act like Gen X don't exist anymore. Only new progressive NPC people. Hey, I will always support the Gen Xers because that is my generation. So for me, we all exist. We all exist. All right, let's go back to my June movie ranking here. So Thelma will be my 4th. What would be my 5th? Let's see. Out of all the movies I have listed here, that would be Tuesday. Tuesday is another movie. First of all, it's a movie that was brought out by A24, and you all know how much I love A24 at this point. But Tuesday, again, another movie I didn't know nothing about. I went into it completely blind, never saw a trailer. All I remember was reading the premise, and that's what kind of attracted me to it. You have Julia Louis-Dreyfus in this dramatic role, and she's been doing more of this stuff, and I think she should continue because it's really well done. And basically, the premise of the story is you have you follow Death, and Death encounters this one young individual who's suffering, who's pretty much on her way out. She's suffering through cancer and all that. And what happens when Death gets amused by said person, and the other person is trying to prolong herself just so she could have some lasting moments with her mom? And then what happens when Death is out of the picture in general, and when someone gets too selfish with their time and left on this earth, on this planet? So it's just interesting play on that. And I thought the performances were well done. The story itself was kind of unique and interesting. And I thought Julia Louis-Dreyfus surprised the hell out of me. This is probably one of the best things she's done since Seinfeld, in my opinion. So I'd highly recommend it. I'm not going to spoil it too much here because I did spoil it enough when I was reviewing it on the channel before. But yeah, Tuesday was definitely a surprise for me. And that would be my fifth movie of the month of June. You didn't see the sexual innuendos in Acolyte episode 6? I mean, it was sexy Star Wars time with good old Kamir bathing in the waters of Lake Minnetonka there as he was rejuvenating himself. So I caught a little stuff there, but I don't think it's worth highlighting, in my opinion. Uh, take it as you will. All right, so that's fifth. My sixth movie in the month of June in my ranking, I would give to, let's see, I'm going through the list here. I would give, oh, you know what? I haven't mentioned Bad Boys Ride or Die. So I will say my sixth movie is Bad Boys Ride or Die. This was one of the movies that I went in with very low expectations. I thought this movie was going to stink because I watched Bad Boys for Life the same week as I watched this movie because I'd never seen it before. And I thought it was awful. I thought it was bad. I thought Martin Lawrence looked very slow. Everything was just not working. The same magic we had in Bad Boys and parts of Bad Boys 2 was just completely gone. And when I knew that it was the same directors directing Ride or Die, I was like, uh-oh, here we go. Let's see what's going to happen here. And to my surprise, I was thoroughly entertained. Martin Lawrence flipped the script, and he was so energetic, so funny. He outacted Will Smith, in my opinion, which was necessary. I've said this before. Will Smith is slowly trying to get into the good graces of Hollywood, so he couldn't be the main guy. So they did that very well. And they did a lot of unique stuff with the action and the camera work and the cinematography that I kind of give them credit for. I think that they're doing stuff that I think even Michael Bay would be jealous of and kind of wish he thought of. So I was surprised and I was thoroughly entertained. So I would say that it doesn't go above Thelma or Tuesday, but I think Bad Boys Ride or Die is definitely sixth in my overall movies that I watched in the month of June. So, yeah, Tuesday sounds appealing. Yeah, I would say give it a shot. This is, again, one of those movies that I wasn't sure what to expect out of it, and I was really pleased by it. It's a little weird, I will say that, because there's a good portion of the movie where you have a CG, like, bird having a conversation with this ill young teenage girl in a wheelchair, and you at least 20 minutes they're having a conversation. So it's weird. You gotta kind of try to put that out of your mind and just listen to the dialogue and just listen and pay attention to at least the moment. Because if you could do that, then I think you'll appreciate it. But I will say, even myself, I was like, I can't believe I'm watching a CG bird having a conversation with a person right now. And how long is it going on for? It's like 20 minutes now. But then when you see the effects that it leads to, think about it. What's the a crazy thing to imagine? What if death didn't exist for a day, right? That means no one can die, right? What would happen, or what would you expect would happen in the world, right? And you get to see exactly what happens, and then in a weird twist, again, I'll try not to spoil anything as much. There is a replacement, and what happens to that person when they actually look at death in a different point of view, right? So, but at the end of the day, it's a very touching story between, I guess you could kind of say, an estranged mom and her daughter, and the last moments that they shared together. So, yeah. Well, A24 is very well known for doing unique movies and unique stories, but that's one of the reasons why I love them so much. Like, a lot of my favorite movies from the last, 10 years are A24 movies. So especially when you're talking about, the unique movies, the different storylines, the non-Hollywood fodder that we get every year. A24 is one of those studios that can still surprise me with what they put out there. So, you know, I'll say give it a shot. You know, and then if you do, and you happen to catch me on another stream or whatever, I would love to hear what you think about it. You know, and let's have a conversation about it. So, Star-Lord, the way she picked up Smilo Ren's lightsaber ready to bust a laser. Are you talking about the way she caressed it and the way she firmly held it in the grip of her hand? All right, enough.
I'm gonna come.
All right, so now I could say that my 7th movie of the month of June goes to In a Violent Nature. In a Violent Nature, when you talk about horror films, try to do something different and unique, and try to give you, this time you are at the perspective of the main killer, of this being, this, you know, this supernatural thing that's going around and killing people. And I guess the most common thing you would say is that, or at least the common questions I've always had was, well, how does Jason get from one place to another? How does Michael Myers get to one place or another? What is their motivation and why they do the things they do? And this movie kind of shows you all that. You know, there's a lot of walking involved. You know, it's kind of hard being a supernatural killer when you're going through the woods and you're trying to get from one spot to another. So, but there's something very calming and soothing seeing and following this person walking through the woods, walking through the trees, through the fields and all that, up until it goes to him committing whatever heinous, violent murder or kill that happens in this movie. And there are two that are so way absurd and over the top. It's just so unnecessarily so that I was laughing at it. One I was laughing at. The second one, I was just like, why? Why is this still going on? And the reason why I gave it only 3 stars out of 5 was because the ending, the third act, kind of fell apart. They ran out of steam. I felt like they didn't know how to end the movie. They gave us an unnecessary dialogue between two people, and I was just like, where is this going? What's the purpose of all this? So, a good opportunity, a good premise, a good idea. I just wish it was executed a little bit more tighter than it was. So that would be my 7th movie of the month of June. T saying A24 does have some really good movies. Oh yeah, I could sit down here. Actually, I did this on the channel. Me and my movie friend, who we did the Movie Time podcast. We're on a hiatus now, but we kind of ranked, I guess, our favorite A24 movies, and there's just so many. And I could sit here and name some of my favorite. I mean, Hereditary, Midsommar, The Iron Claw, Everywhere, Anything Everywhere All at Once. Then The Witch, The Witch, right? That's 5 A24 movies right now. Dream Scenario. I think Dream Scenario is A24, is it? Or is it Neon? I don't know. Neon's slowly becoming that another A24-like studio. Especially once Long Legs comes out, you'll see what I'm talking about. The Lobster. That's another A24 classic, in my opinion. There's just so many good A24 movies out there. It's you know, I could easily sit down for like a couple hours and talk about A24 movies. Gen X was always individualistic. It was our trait back in a time we didn't get offended to the point of canceling unless boomer parents try to. In these times, the problem is we are in a collective now. Yeah, well, you know, times change. I totally get it. You know, I don't agree with it all the time, but I do agree. I say make raw and make it more raw. Rawer. Mid-90s is a good one. Uncut Gems is a great movie that I cannot watch again because it gives me too much anxiety. Skin is also a great one. Yeah, I'm talking about horrors. What's your take on Nosferatu? I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I love Robert Eggers. I already mentioned, you know, the Vivitch, right? That's an Eggers classic, I think, right? and I can't wait. I can't wait. You know, like I think what is that? Men is a very underrated movie. That's Robert Eggers too, right? Hold on. I just want to make sure I'm not speaking out of term here. Let's see. He also did The Lighthouse, another great movie. The Northman. Not enough people talk about The Northman. I think The Northman is a brilliant movie. Um, they do some stuff there with the camera work too that I'm just like, man, I love what they're doing here. But yeah, Robert Eggers does a lot of great stuff. So I cannot wait for Nosferatu. That trailer that they released looks somewhat similar to Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula. So I love how he's kind of using some of that kind of camera work and editing in this film. It's interesting that he's basing it off of a stage play that he wrote, I guess, right? I believe that's what happened. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. It could, like you said, it has a potential to kind of, change how we think about horror movies moving forward. But I can easily say, honestly, that Longlegs may do the same thing. There's a reason why a lot of people are buzzing about Longlegs and can't wait for Longlegs to come out. And I think there's good reason behind it. Having a chance to watch it last week, or I should say earlier this week on Monday, man, Longlegs is going to surprise a lot of people. For sure. X, yes, let's not forget about X. Again, very timely because of Maxine coming out this week. Spring Breakers, yeah, A24 is just, again, they do so much interesting and good movies out there. Even Lamb, even a movie like Lamb, which is so bizarre and all that. Like, I remember watching that movie, I'm just like, this is such a typical A24 movie. I don't get it. But it made you continue to think about it afterwards. And when you really think down and you try to, like, formulate what the story's trying to portray and tell you, like, oh, I kind of see what you're saying here. So yeah. There's a reason why I love A24. Anytime something comes out new from them, I have to check it out. Stoller, times didn't change. It was abandoned for ideologies. Star's getting very philosophical. It's this is what happens in the early morning because he hasn't had enough sleep. I'm surprised we're not too sensitive for horror movies. We will never be. We will never be. Because I feel like we are, like you said before previously in another stream, we are very desensitized. The days of like the satanic panic that we saw like in the 80s, I don't think we'll ever see that. Unless some director decides to do something absurdly gruesome and nuts, then we may see that again. But we haven't seen that type of discourse since like the 80s. Because I think as the years has gone by with all the wars happening, stuff happening in our own backyards, blah, 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 not to get political here, but we as a society is very desensitized. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm drunk. Arnold saying the game is crazy. 15 minutes. I still have it at 101. Are we going to go to penalty kicks? We might. We might. Watch out.
Yeah!
Arnold's going to be crapping in his pants. Another reminder to everyone, if you are just joining in on the stream, don't forget, hit that like button. Every like button we get, an angel will get its wings.
Yeah!
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Then why are we not? Because comedy, when you think of comedy, you think of commentary on society, right? And that involves many different facets and many different sects of individuals and communities, right? The minute you start poking fun at one of these communities, they get very annoyed, pissed off. They get too sensitive on that. So, as we have seen, because thanks to the 90s, where we did everything we could to just go against all the grains possible, we are now approaching a time of a generation that doesn't want to do that anymore, right? So, you got to be careful what you say here. Obviously, race is a big thing. You know, LGBTQ plus communities are want to be more accepted and not made fun of anymore. So you're getting to a period where we are trying to promote more acceptance because that newer, younger generation wants that and thinks that's important, which I don't disagree. So the minute you start poking fun at these like little different things, like, wait a minute, you can't do that. There's nothing funny in that, right? Which wasn't the case before, because in the 80s and the 90s, everything was fair game, right? We didn't have that sensitivity bone in our bodies. So that's just how it is. When it's horror, it's just violence. So it's different. Then maybe your problem is with the comedians themselves. Because you could easily say that there's a lot of comics out there who know how to write good jokes, but then there are a lot of comics who do not. Or there are a lot of writers who do not know how to write better jokes or better material. So, but that's just what happens. I mean, times will change. You can't get away with the same. We just talked about it with Eddie Murphy. You can't get away with the same stuff that he did today that he was able to get away with in the 80s and 90s. Could you imagine going up on stage right now and having a bit where you're just like, hey, so I was looking to get married. So I went to Africa and I decided to marry someone from Africa because they don't know how American women are, So I decided to bring her back, and then all of a sudden she started learning, getting American friends. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? Do you think those type of jokes will fly well today? I would think it's funny because I grew up in a time where, that kind of stuff was easy to make fun of. I come from the George Carlin School of Comedy. I think everything can be easily made fun of if done in a smart way, in a very well done written way. There should be nothing off limits. But unfortunately, you have a lot of people out there who try to push those boundaries, who don't know how to be funny in certain situations, right? So instead, they want to mimic, they want to poke fun, they want to embarrass because they think for them it's funny. And I think you can't do that anymore. They should focus on more cliches, horror plots, instead of using more gore. I think on that, Longlegs and Nosferatu are going to be on the right path. I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I think we're starting to slowly get away from the gore porn and the slasher stuff. And I think more and more people are really trying their best to come up with unique ways to tell a story in horror movies that will drive people to be like, hey, this is interesting, right? So Oh, Arnold, you have to work every Saturday? That sucks. Are you off at least on Sunday? With Starlink in in Africa? No, we don't know the sense of humor. Everyone is very different, you know. So, but another thing too, you also have to remember with social media and the way with how just media is in general, everything gets shared and spread out way too fast and way too easy. So you can easily react to things much faster than you used to back in the day. And that's how people jump on bandwagons so fast. So we didn't see that before. But who's treating people like a collective? I feel like, media is trying to do that, but it's up to the individual to follow suit, right? I don't think I don't think we are at that point yet, but I think they want to. It's all about, you got to also think of it this way. And I know we're going off on a tangent here that I usually don't talk about. So I'll just say this. You have to sit down and think about this for a moment. A lot of entertainment companies, studios in general, they control a lot of media outlets. And I don't know if a lot of people realize that or not. So they will dictate a certain narrative out there, right? They also can do the same thing very easily on social media. So they want to get in your good graces for certain things, blah, 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 this and that. Same thing with politics. They try to do the same exact thing, right? Now, us as individuals, it's up to us to believe what we believe in, follow what we follow in, and all that kind of stuff like that, right? But it is easier to convince a lot of people when you're constantly throwing things in their faces. There are a lot of countries outside of the US that do kind of have that hive mind mentality. I mention Japan all the time. I love Japan. I love visiting Japan, but they are very much like that. But they've been like that for a very long time. Being an individual in Japan is very rare, and you stand out above everybody else. Yeah. And I mentioned this once, and I saw this happening when one of the times I was there. One morning during a certain variety show, they were showcasing a certain fashion that they were trying to promote for spring. And what did I see the next day? Almost every storefront that I went to in Tokyo had those same type of clothes that they featured on that program. At least I can say we don't see that here. So. But again, this is a whole, topic, that we can get into, but I'd rather not. Who are the Hodge twins? And T, to go back to your comment, like, I love Bill Burr's comedy. Dave Chappelle, I used to. Nowadays, I feel like all he does is he'll create a Netflix comedy special to clap back at his criticism, his criticizers, right? People who criticize him, he will spend an hour and a half on a Netflix special just to talk about that. And it's not funny to me anymore. He's no longer commenting on society or entertainment or the world. All he does is focus on, these group of people don't like me. Let's talk about it for an hour and a half. So yeah. Arnold works 4 days a week, 30-hour a week. That's not terrible. That's not bad. I guess you just have to adjust to your days off because they're different than how they used to be, right? So. All right, let's get back to my June movie ranking here. We went a bit off topic there. But again, I love the conversations with everybody. I always encourage it. All right, so 7 is in a violent nature. So that would mean my 8th movie of June would be, let's see, let me just make sure I am not forgetting anything here. I would say would be The Bike Riders. The Bike Riders was an interesting movie because this is one of those movies that was supposed to come out last year. You could tell that this is a type of movie that they were probably trying to squeeze into the whole Oscar race. But because of the writer's strike, the actor's strike, they decided to push it into this year because they need the promotion. And honestly, a movie like this needs that type of promotion. I also think it's a brilliant move because honestly, after watching it, I don't think this would have been able to compete with any of the other movies that came out last year as far as Oscars are concerned. Great acting. Austin Butler's fantastic. Jodie Comer is the standout. It's kind of funny because she ends up becoming the main star of this movie, which is something you wouldn't have expected. Tom Hardy is great, but missed opportunity. I was hoping to get a Goodfellas type of story, a Goodfellas type of movie, but focused around a motorcycle gang. Very similar to like Sons of Anarchy, The Mayans. I think it was a kind of a missed opportunity here. Instead, we got like a memoir movie. Everything's dictated through the point of view of Jodie Comer. And just when things were getting good, like when they're going through a flashback or through a certain moment, and the minute you want to see more of that, they cut and we go back to her talking and giving an interview and all that. So I missed opportunity. I think it's still decent, but definitely was not a movie that I was hoping it was going to be, and or at least I was expecting it to be, and I felt a little disappointed by it. So that will be the reason why that's the 8th movie of June. And then to round things out, because I saw 9 movies in June, would be The Watchers. Talk about a disappointment in this movie. Man, this is Ishana Shyamalan. This is the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan, her directorial debut. And, you could tell that she's picked up a lot of things from her father. Cinematography, editing, the kind of mystery box or kind of twisty type ending. You could see that she picks some things up, but execution was just very bad, in my opinion. It felt very clunky at times. And I don't blame the actors involved. Like I thought, Dakota Fanning was good, but just the pacing and the writing in general just was not well done. And I found myself extremely bored. The funny story that I will say here was there was a certain moment in the movie, and again, you've seen the trailers. If you haven't seen this movie yet, they're stuck in this bunker. Things are happening around them. They find something and they go into this thing, and there's like a revelation of their learning about what's happening and how all of this stuff originated. I had to leave to go to the bathroom because my stomach was not happy with me because I didn't have anything to eat that day except for soda and popcorn. So let's just say that, the toilet was my friend for the next 10 minutes. I missed 10 minutes of this important part of the movie. When I came back, I was able to pick things up directly as soon as I started watching things, as if I really didn't miss anything. So the fact that I missed an important moment of the movie and I still feel like I didn't really miss anything kind of shows you what the type of movie it is. So a little disappointing. I'm still curious to what she's capable of doing in the future. I would love to see what else she can do, but maybe writing is not her strong suit. I'll say that. I'll be interested to see what she does with a movie that she didn't write and she's just solely focused on directing. So that's it. So that's what I would rank the new movies of June that I've seen. Inside Out 2, Kinds of Kindness, Quiet Place Day 1, Thelma, Tuesday, Bad Boys Ride or Die, In a Violent Nature, The Bike Riders, and The Watchers there. So let me know if you've seen any of these movies, or if you're interested in seeing any of these movies. Let me know about them in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts. T saying, I think that's what threw all off on Bike Riders. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. The Hodge Twins conservative reaction channel, most ridiculous shit that surfaces on the internet. Oh, yeah. You would never find me watching those guys. Just keep thinking Robot Chicken. What a twist. I loved every time they made fun of M. Night Shyamalan. What a twist. Arnold, just remember there are many people who have more than you, but there are people who are in worse, way worse conditions than you. That's you. You've said it very well. Well put. That's very true. Yeah, just be happy with what you have. Because I personally know people who are struggling right now, don't have a job, finding a hard time getting work, and I could see it. They're going through a tough time right now. So we just be thankful for what we have, for the moment that we have it, and just live the life that we try to live as best as possible. Because you only get one, right? Or so they say. I still think that eventually I'll be resurrected one day into, I don't know, into Scarlett Johansson's personal seat. I don't know. Anyway. Uh, watch them. They have. I can't. Star Lord. I can't watch those type of channels, man. Because drama and all that stuff, that's just not my bag. I try to avoid that stuff. There's a reason why I don't watch the news, because I want to be happy. I choose happiness over depression. I mean, I'll take your word for it. And if I do find myself, coming across them one day, then maybe I'll check it out, but I'm not going to seek them out. Yeah. There's many other things I would prefer to watch, like Red Letter Media, or I don't know, whenever James Rolfe decides to do another angry video game nerd episode, which is painful to watch, but I still like to watch it. Arnold, can we get an update on the score? Are we heading to penalty kicks yet? Oh, Spain won. Wow, 2-1. Was it a last minute goal during overtime? During extension? Oh, you're actually rooting for Spain. Oh, I thought you would be rooting for Germany. Okay. AVGN is too wholesome. It's funny how you call him wholesome when all it is just dick and fart jokes, really. Or I guess in his case, shit and fart jokes, right? So, have I watched any of The Boys? Not yet. No, not yet. I'm behind on The Boys. I don't think I've even fully watched the last season. Not because of a lack of interest, just lack of time. I can't keep, it's hard for me to keep up on TV because there's just too much. And I watch a lot of movies. I play games too, so it's hard for me to really keep up, honestly. I would love to watch it. I'm still planning to watch it, but right now I feel like my mental and attention capacity can only be reserved for Acolyte and House of the Dragon right now. And I think maybe when I'm done with that, then if there's nothing else, then I could go back and finally watch The Boys. Because I love the first two seasons. I did. I know there are a lot of people who are like not liking it anymore, because they think it's just a little bit too much shock value. And that seems to be the main focus. But I don't mind it. I also know a lot of people do still enjoy it. So, And, have you been watching it? What are your thoughts on the new season so far? Let me know. I'm curious. Like Morpheus said, free your mind. Are you still trying to convince me to watch those guys? In a little bit, I'm going to be talking about the movies of 2024 so far. I'll be looking back at a lot of the new movies that I watched, and just do a quick recap of everything. It's been an interesting year so far. I will say that. I can't say that everything was a hit, but some interesting stuff. T, you love the boys? That's good to hear. It's refreshing to hear that people are still enjoying that show because I've already heard a lot of people who aren't. So, excuse me. I think it's water time. Red pill or blue pill? I don't know. That's a tough question for me. No diverse binary pill. Remind me again which one was what? Red pill was to remain in the matrix. Blue pills to get you out of it. Is that how it goes? Oh, because of what I wrote above. Don't understand flange. I'm glad I have at least something. What's flange? Or am I reading that wrong? Did I get the pill definitions right, Starlord? Is it red to stay in the matrix, blue to get out of it? Because I forgot. Honestly, I forgot. I think my mind, I'm losing it. I'm losing my memories. I should be like that movie, what's that Robin Williams movie where you could download your memories into like some sort of data bank? I think I need that. And every time I'm trying to remember something, I should have some sort of access to it. Oh, okay. So red pill gets you out of the matrix. Blue pill keeps you in it. Um, Knowing my personality and how I think, I would probably take the red pill. So yeah, I would say red pill for me. I may find comfort and solace in being in the Matrix, very much like Joe Pantoliano, eating my steak and all. But I would need to know the truth. I mean, what I wrote before in the live chat to don't understand wrong. What you wrote before in the live chat. Okay. So you just heard thunder when you said that? What when you typed that he is the one? I don't think I'm the one. I'm one of many, but I don't think I'm the one. Still the one. Da 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 da. Still the one. Maybe that. We're out there having fun, and he's still the one. All right, let's quickly like do a nice little recap. Let's look back at the movies of the first half of this year. And let's see what I thought about the first half of the year as far as movies are concerned. Like I said, we got some interesting stuff. You know, not everything was great. It was looking very sad, honestly. Looking very, very sad as far as movies were concerned. But I think things are getting better. So I'm on here on my Letterboxd diary. So January, I didn't watch anything new because what I did is I was getting myself ready for the Oscars. So you could see a lot of the movies that I watched were like things that I was trying to catch up on, like Blackberry. Thriller 40, I think, was new. I think that first came out in January. So I really, really love that, honestly. But yeah, like Beyond Utopia, Eileen, um, Fallen Leaves, Monster, which is a fantastic movie, by the way. Like really, really love the movie. Teacher's Lounge. So you could tell like I was really like catching up on everything that was kind of like, you know, Oscar stuff. Then we get into February, and this is when I was starting to finally watch some brand new movies, right? So Argyle, what a hot mess Argyle was. What a swing and a miss that movie was. And I love Bryce Dallas Howard. I think Henry Cavill is great too, but my God, what a mess of a movie that was. As you could see here, I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Just did not like it. American Fiction, I watched for the first time. Love that movie, 4 stars. The Greatest Night in Pop is one of the best documentaries I've seen this year so far. I said so far, there's so many I still need to catch up on. I gave this a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. If you don't know what this recaps basically the creation of We Are the World and everything involved in gathering all of these pop icons together in one room. Such a fascinating story when you really like hear about it and you see what they went through just to get all these people together to record this song. It's brilliant, honestly. Arnold, which film do you think should be number 1 out of the entire year? Of the summer? What do you mean? Like, let me know what you mean. Star Lord, you say one of many collective. No, I'm just saying like there are a lot of individuals who are unique, special. You know, it's not just me. That's how I look at it. T, let's be honest, everyone is just waiting for Deadpool and Wolverine. I think you're right. And that's kind of what I said last year. I think Deadpool and Wolverine will be this year's, and I guess this will answer your question, Arnold. Deadpool and Wolverine will be this year's number 1 movie. Whether it's good or bad. It's going to be the highest grossing movie of the year out of everything. I can't imagine or think of any other movie that will make more money than Deadpool and Wolverine this year. I think if any one movie has a chance to get close to it, right now, Inside Out 2 has a good shot at that. Maybe Wicked, but I doubt it, you know, because who knows? But again, it could be just roll of the dice. You know, maybe something at that moment will just strike with people. But I don't know if Wicked will ever be this huge phenomenon like Deadpool and Wolverine will be. So I think really Deadpool and Wolverine has a chance to be that number 1 movie of the year. One movie that's not going to be number 1 is Madam Web. Holy shnikes, as the famous line of the late, great Chris Farley. What a hot mess. Now, I will say this, and I still stand by this. There is something brilliant about this movie, that it's such a unique callback to a certain type of superhero action film that we got in the late 90s, early 2000s. That if it was done purposely to mimic that, brilliant, because they fully achieved it. If it wasn't, then it means there's a bigger problem happening at Sony that we should all be concerned about, because they are managing the Spider-Man license over there. So yeah, this movie will be memed forever. It will be probably like a go-to for a bad movie night. I still would love to do like a bad movie night screening of this movie with all of you people out there, with all of you guys, because it would be a fun night just of hilarity as I poke fun at this movie, as we see all these women in a hotel room trying to do CPR or learn how to do CPR for what felt like 20 minutes. It's just, it's amazing what they tried to do in this movie. So yeah, so if anything, you have that, but yeah, I gave it 2 stars out of 5. So Arnold watched Beverly Hills Cop yesterday, thought the movie was cool. They paid so much attention to the old school music, etc. Yeah, yeah. What I said about Beverly Hills Cop earlier was that the great thing about that movie, again, for those of you who are major fans of the original movies from back in the day, like I am, they gave you enough to say like, oh, I remember that. Oh, I remember this. Oh, look who's back. Oh, look who's back there. You know, so I thought it was a nice kind of revisit to the old school movie franchise from the original 2. Definitely better than 3. Definitely better than Coming to America 2, as far as like trying to revisit an old Eddie Murphy character. And I thought overall it got enough laughs out of me that I thought it was decent. So yeah. But yeah, the music played a huge part of those original movies. So I love that they had to throw in. There was one song they didn't throw in that I was kind of disappointed about. I believe it's the Patti LaBelle song from the first movie. But other than that, everything was great. Neutron Dance, The Heat Is On, good stuff. One of the many takes on a new meaning now. Remember, times have changed. If you don't want an alien invasion, put Madam Web in a new Voyager and send it out. Oh yeah, yeah. That's a good way to put it. Bob Marley, One Love. I also saw in February. I thought it was good. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. My only problem is I wanted to see more of his story. I felt they played it too safe, and I get it. There's no way, especially with the family involved in the making of this documentary, or biopic, I should say, that they were ever going to divulge all the secrets or all the stuff that happened with Bob Marley behind the scenes. But they did enough that I understand it's an uplifting movie, and they definitely showcased the importance of Bob Marley in the world. So if anything, I would say that if you don't know much of Bob Marley's story, this is a movie you should probably check out. You know, and I thought the lead actor there, I forget his name, did a very decent job at portraying Bob Marley. Then, of course, we have Dune Part 2. 5 out of 5 star rating for me. This is one of the year's best movies, hands down. One of the great science fiction movies I've seen in a very long time. I even say that this bypasses anything Star Wars has done movie-related wise in recent memory. So I've talked a lot about this movie. Great movie. I loved every minute of it. The ending was fantastic, was very exciting and thrilling. And that look on Zendaya's face at the end of the movie is just like, oh, watch out. She is not happy. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do moving forward. I think Denis Villeneuve just knows how to tell this type of story. And I think he's brilliant at it. So if he spent the rest of his life just doing Dune movies, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. They have to stop the Spider-Man verse, one-offs or whatever you want to call it. We still like Craven coming out. We still have Craven coming out, and they will ruin my favorites. Yeah, I'm right there with you, T. I think Craven, hands down, is one of the best Spider-Man villains. And I am afraid of that movie coming out, just like you. I think right now it's 50-50. There's a small chance that that movie could be amazing. But based off of everything they've done, the Venom movies, Morbius, Madam Web, all these other movies they're trying to do outside of Spider-Man proper has not done well, have not been good. So I am very worried like you. Make Russia release imprisoned journalists, keep sending them Madam Web. Oh no. Prisoners was an amazing movie, Arnold. You know, and this was my first time watching Prisoners. And I'm so happy I finally had a chance to watch it in March. But the last movie I saw in February was Spaceman. That's the Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. Interesting enough, I saw this movie in 2023. I saw this movie last year as kind of like a test screening. So I was wondering, actually, was it last year or 2 years ago? It was a long time ago. And I was wondering for the longest time, where is this movie? Are they ever going to release this movie? And they finally did, and I thought it was all right. You know, like it was nice to see it finished, and they changed a lot of the flow of the movie, the pacing, the ending was completely different. So I really appreciated what they did there, but it's still 3 stars. It wasn't like the best thing ever. Then in March, I saw, yes, Drive Away Dolls, which was very disappointing. Margaret Qualley, I like her. She's definitely much better in Kinds of Kindness. She was unbearable to watch in this movie. Her accent was just annoying. Couldn't stand it. And this movie was just, I don't know what was happening. I wish I could get my time back, honestly, for this movie. So I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. Damsel, the latest movie on Netflix from, what's her name? 11 from Stranger Things. My mind is just like all over the place right now. I thought it was good. You know, one of the things I said about this movie when it came out was she's always known as being like a great screamer and crier, because that's all we ever see her do in Stranger Things. And then, of course, when she's done movies like Godzilla, she loves to run, scream, and cry. And she's a very great crier. So at least we got to see her do more stuff here in this movie, Damsel. You know, they tried. It wasn't great. It was decent. 3 out of 5 for me. Perfect Days is an amazing movie that I watched in March. Another Japanese movie. I love Japanese film. A day in the life type of movie, following this one janitor that cleans up public restrooms in Tokyo. And you kind of see like a slice of life of him going through things. Brilliant, brilliant movie. 4 out of 5 stars for me. I don't think it was officially released this year. That was just the moment I had a chance to finally watch it. So that starts off my March. Let's go on into the rest of March here. So Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I love Ghostbusters. I think Ghostbusters, the original 80s movie, is one of those movies that I will always love and hold very close and dear to my heart. And then Ghostbusters 2, as I get older, I've learned to appreciate more and more. Then we had, you know, the all-female Ghostbusters, which I thought was terrible. Not because of the cast. It was all because of the writing. Poor writing. And then we got Afterlife, which was promising. I enjoyed Afterlife. And I was like, okay, now I'm curious where we're going to go with the franchise moving forward. And then we got Frozen Empire. And the best thing out of Frozen Empire that we got was this. How about you thank them, dickless? That's it. This movie was disappointing. It was messy. They tried to rely too much on the comedy here. A lot of things they just thrown in there without a lot of explanation. The whole, I'm the odd person out, blah, blah, blah. They did a very Casper-like storyline where she befriends a ghost. And, you know, she thought, she's getting very close to this ghost. A nice little lesbian story. Without saying that it's a lesbian story. The execution was just very bad. And I was hoping for a lot more. I think they need to figure something out with this franchise, because I think movies isn't the way to go moving forward with this. If anything, maybe they should just focus on a limited series on some sort of streaming platform, because this movie just was not it. That's not the direction you want to go with this franchise. There are bits of it that I liked. You know, I love the whole Winston storyline and this and that, you know, and I love that the family is now taking over the Ghostbusters thing, but they didn't even explain all that stuff. And I just threw it out there. I'm like, all right, well, didn't work for me. And I don't think, I don't think this movie did really well at the box office from what I remember. And I think it's going to be a long time since we'll see another Ghostbusters movie, but I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. T saying Dune 3 Messiah looks to hit the box office at the weekend as opposed to a new Star Wars film. Yeah, that's they're aiming maybe possibly 2026 for that, right? So that's going to be really interesting to see. Star-Lord said he made an edit of George W. Bush reacting to the Acolyte. That's interesting. In case you didn't know, Star-Lord, he does a lot of cool edits and videos and montages and music montages. So check out his channel. Very cool stuff. Lesbianism hinted, never seen that before. That's true. Arnold, do I remember the movie Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter? I do. I've never seen it. I've read a little bit of the book because it was based off of a book. But I never seen the movie. So, have you? Let me know what you thought of that movie. In March, we also got Late Night with the Devil, one of my favorite horror movies of the year. Unique, different, great performance by David Dastmalchian. Really loved it. I thought it was a very well done movie. One of the best horror movies of the year. Not saying that it's going to be the best horror movie of the year. I think that has yet to come out, in my opinion, which I've already seen. And you guys are in for a ride of your life when Longlegs finally comes out next week. But I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, so I really enjoyed that. What's going on, Marvel Cuphead? Nice of you to join in and check out the stream. Beverly Hills Cop 4 Axel F. Did I enjoy? I did. I thought it was decent. I will say that. Nice throwback to the original first 2 movies. Same type of comedy that we're used to. It was nice to see the crew back together again. Nice musical drops from the soundtrack of the original movies. The only thing I will say is that it was very formulaic. It reminded me of if you took the storylines of the first 2 movies and combined them together. That's what you got here with Axel Foley. I didn't hate it, but it wasn't anything that reinvented the wheel, so to speak. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but I hearted it. I liked it. You know, would I ever watch it again? Not anytime soon. And the storyline was also very tropey. If I gave, earlier in the stream, I gave the premise out, and I said, after hearing this premise, if you're able to dictate where you think the story is going to go from here, then you basically just guessed the entire plot of the story. So, but it was nice. It was nice to see, you know, Eddie Murphy revisit the character of Axel Foley, but I don't think we need to see him again after this. But I'm wondering, what have you had a chance to see it? What did you think of it? Let me know. Arnold, Eddie Murphy has held up well. Looking good in the movie. Yeah, what I said earlier too is like, it's funny. It's like getting old really sucks because when you see Judge Reinhold and the actor who plays Taggart, and of course you see like Paul Reiser and you see Eddie Murphy, you know, standing next to all of these guys, you're like, wow, you know, how much money Eddie Murphy has spent on keeping himself looking that way, it's working because it's amazing how good he looks. All right, moving on to other movies I've seen in this year. You have Problemista, which I thought was a unique story. A lot of people were really buzzing about this movie before it came out, and then when I saw it, I was just like, it's okay. I thought Tilda Swinton was good, and I thought the storyline was interesting, but nothing that really stood out to me, so I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Roadhouse was Jake Gyllenhaal's retelling of the classic Patrick Swayze movie on Amazon. I thought it was good for the most part, decent. I thought Gyllenhaal was great in this movie. The fight scenes threw me off a little bit because they used too much digital effects for the fight scenes. So I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. Godzilla Kong New Empire. Not for me, especially after seeing Godzilla -1. This franchise is going down and down and down for me. So I give it 2 out of 5 stars. But I understand why people love him. I understand it. I get it. But for me, this was like they ripped off Guardians of the Galaxy. They ripped off all these other famous franchises and they put it into this one movie. It's laughable. Again, my favorite moment in Godzilla Kong is when when Kong is trying to get Godzilla to help him out. And Godzilla all is just focused on taking Kong down. And you can see Kong looking at Godzilla, literally doing this. wait, wait. I'm like, that is just so hilarious to me. It's so comical. I'm just like, okay, it is what it is. This is for me personally. This would be another nice entry into like a bad movie night roast because I could have tons of fun with this stuff. So, started saying his soul wasn't in the movie, otherwise he would laugh. Yeah, I do miss the Eddie Murphy laugh. I will say that. That's another good point. That was one thing I missed from the whole movie. Eddie was probably AI generated and they forgot to add it in, or AI just doesn't know how to replicate that stuff yet. So he didn't care for Roadhouse. He was better in Southpaw. Oh, I could see that. I just think Gyllenhaal is one of the actors today that more people should talk about. He does a lot of great stuff. It's just unfortunately a lot of the movies that he's in aren't that great. So, I appreciated Roadhouse, but Southpaw was great too. Marvel Cuphead, Godzilla. I enjoy monsters, break buildings, and lots of monster fights, and I get that. And that movie, they gave you all that. So if that's all you really like, or if you find that entertaining, you got that 1000%. I guess for me, again, after watching Minus One, I prefer a story that has a lot of human element that means something. Blah blah blah, yada yada yada. I could keep going on and on and on about that. So I get it. I totally get it. Don't title your movie with the word empire or it'll be done. That's also funny to mention too. In March, we got 2 movies with the word empire in there. So I think in my review stream of Godzilla Kong New Empire, I think I called it Godzilla Kong the Frozen Empire or something like that. I did something that's funny like that, but it is what it is. Last movie I saw in March was Sasquatch Sunset. It's not a movie for everyone. It's really not. But I love this movie. It was absurd. It was batshit crazy. It's like watching a nature documentary just on big feet. Is that what you call a family of Bigfoot? Big feet or Sasquatches. And I loved it. Even though you have, who's that? Riley Keough and who's that? Who's the other actor in this movie? Mr. Social Network. You don't recognize him really until you really start seeing the personality shine a little bit through the makeup. For me, it was great. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I hearted it. It was nice to see the screening of this movie with the writer and director's brothers there talking about the film. So I enjoyed it, but I know it's not for everyone. And I've heard people who've seen this movie, they said they hated it. So I get it. Totally get it. Wasn't he rumored for Batman? Who? Who was rumored for Batman? Oh, Gyllenhaal? I think he was. I think he was. Would I have wanted to see it? No. I don't think he would have been a good fit as Batman. As a villain, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. But as Batman, no. I'm kind of glad that didn't come through. Hey, watch your pronouns. It's Bigfoot. My bad. My bad. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Marvel Cuphead got my ticket for Long Legs horror film. I'm a little bit excited because trailer didn't show a whole film. Cuphead, I'll say this. I saw the movie on Monday. You are in for a treat. That's all I'll say. I think Long Legs. I'm gonna put a review on the channel. I'm aiming to upload it on Sunday because videos I upload tend to do well on Sundays. But I'm gonna try to put it up then. There's just something that is very eerie and creepy and haunting about this movie. You'll hear many people compare it to Zodiac, Seven, Silence of the Lambs. What I said on my Letterboxd rating is that if you combine those movies, or if they decide to have a bastard child, this is the result. It was just so eerie and creepy and disturbing at times. A nice, interesting twist that I didn't see coming towards the end. The performances were hands down brilliant. You'll hear a lot of people talking about Nicolas Cage, and for good reason. And I would also say that the lead actress is brilliant, but there's another actress, Alicia Witt, I think her name is. Don't She was so good in this movie too. There's another guy in there. I think his name is Carrie Underwood, or is that the singer? Something Underwood. Brilliant acting. So I think you're in for a treat, and I think a lot of people are in for a treat. I think this will end up being the best horror film of the year. Uh-oh, Star-Lord's battery is running out. Well, Star-Lord, it's always a pleasure having you here. If I don't get to see you for the rest of the stream, I hope I'll get to see you sometime soon. If you wake up early enough. And I'll be back streaming again on Monday. So hopefully I get to see you then. So that's March. We're moving into April. And as you could see, I went through my rewatches of a lot of, is this, who directed this movie again? My God, my memory is shot today. What is going on with me? Maybe I need more coffee. I think that's what's happening here. Monday sounds good. Awesome. I hope to see you then. Alex Garland. Sorry. My mind is bananas at the moment. I was going through like an Alex Garland rewatch. And I was rewatching. Sunshine was a movie I seen for the very first time. And I was mad because I don't know why it took me so long to see this movie. What an amazing science fiction horror film this was. Brilliant. So brilliant. But then let's talk about Monkey Man, because that's a brand new movie that came out in April. And I loved it. I thought Dev Patel was so good in this movie. First time directing and acting in the same movie. Brilliant. 5 out of 5 star rating. I hearted it. I love this movie. One thing that did piss me off, without spoiling anything, I was really kind of hoping he kept the mask on towards the end. He showed up with the mask, full on suit, ready to kick ass, and the first thing he does is takes it off. I'm just like, oh man, that would have been awesome. That would be like the ultimate superhero moment, but he didn't do it. So a little disappointing, but I still love the movie overall. And then Civil War came out. Again, 5 out of 5 star rating for this month for this movie. Loved this movie. This is one of those movies that I couldn't stop talking about after I've seen it. Star gives me time to enter the Matrix with new info. Nice. I'm looking forward to that. Alex Garland just has a way of directing a film and telling a story. And you thought this movie was going to be one thing, especially with the trailers and all that. But it ended up becoming just a story of you following these journalists and these photographers and looking at the events that are happening around them through their eyes, through their point of view. And it was just such smart storytelling, amazing visuals, right? Everything that was happening around them, almost to a certain point, didn't matter because you're just watching their journey. And it's just so well done, so good. I always say like a great double feature would be to watch what's that Netflix movie? What Happens at the End of the World with Julia Roberts. It's another like end of the world type of movie with Mahershala Ali. Watch that and then watch Civil War afterwards. I feel like that would be like a perfect double feature there. So very, very great movie in my opinion. Then I saw Challengers. I love Luca Guadagnino. I thought this movie was brilliant. Zendaya I never really fully understood her as to her star power. I get it now after watching this film. Amazing, amazing movie. Everyone in it was brilliant. 4 stars out of 5. I liked it. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was disappointing. I actually fell asleep through this movie. I found it boring. I didn't like it that much. I know there are people who do like this movie, and that's fine. It just didn't hit me. It didn't hit me properly. So I gave it 3 out of 5. And then the last movie in April I saw was Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scar Giver. Oh, I really wish I could get my time back for this movie. 2 out of 5. Zack Snyder still does well visually, but cannot tell a story at all whatsoever. This was very disappointing. Marvel Cuphead, Deadpool Wolverine, I think will be a box office hit and will make a lot of money from merchandise at the theater. It's just going to be a big hit overall. It's last year was Barbie. The year before that was Top Gun Maverick. This year it's Deadpool and Wolverine. And I've been on a good roll lately. I said Top Gun Maverick was going to be the major movie of that year, and I was right. I said Barbie was going to be the major surprise hit of that year, and I was right. Deadpool and Wolverine, guaranteed, biggest movie of this year. Just box office, merchandising. The minute they release that popcorn bucket, if that's real, forget it. Mind blown. It's going to be crazy. And it's important too because it's going to dictate how the MCU will move forward, I think. It's going to dictate a lot of that stuff. T. Snyder needs someone to write for him. I agree. Now, I heard he did get help writing this. I think he just needs better help. Honestly. It's like, I like him as a director. I like his visual. I like his eye. He has an eye for amazing visuals. Like I always say, perfect movies for desktop wallpapers, screensavers. Have it playing in a bar somewhere. Great visuals. But story and dialogue, oh, I just can't. I can't. And I don't understand, maybe I'm missing something, why they keep pushing Sofia Boutella to be a lead actress. She's a great action actress, but as far as dialogue and other like emotional moments, it doesn't work for me. Doesn't. Arnold doesn't like Zendaya. I'm sorry. What did Zendaya do to you, Arnold? Did she turn you down when you met her in Germany? Of course, I'm just messing with you. Marvel Cuphead, Rebel Moon 1 and 2 are awful films. My review is 1 star, and I don't want Rebel Moon 3. Well, unfortunately, from what I heard, they did great ratings on Netflix, and he wants to create a universe. This is his Star Wars, right? Didn't he talk about there being a video game? He's working on the director's cut now for Rebel Moon. That's coming out, I think, in August. That's supposed to be a completely different story. I don't know how much different it's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to want to watch it. Maybe I will because I'm a glutton for punishment. And my rule of thumb that I will always follow, if I eventually become a well-known critic or one of the movie pundits out there, I always say this: I need to watch it before I can shit on it. I can't shit on something if I haven't seen it. So, and I don't plan to shit on it, but if I'm going to shit on it, I need to see it first. That's always going to be my number one rule. So, yeah, T, you're right. He also has an animated series coming out. I think there's a trailer out for that now. So, yeah. It's in Arnold. I think she's okay, but as an actress, I don't know. She doesn't convince me. Then Arnold, what I will say, if you have a chance, watch Challengers. Watch Challengers. That may change your mind because I think she's brilliant in that movie. Lovebug is back. What's going on, Lovebug? Nice to see you back. We're talking about we're recapping the movies I've watched this year. We just finished April, so let's go into May. Let's see. Are we in May now? Yeah, May. So May is an interesting month. And I'll say this. I think in the past, May was the unofficial start of summer blockbuster season. This year was not the case. Last year was not the case. I think things are changing where it's going to get pushed back to June. June, I think, is the official summer blockbuster season, the start of that. Because there are several movies that came out in May, that were meant to be summer blockbuster movies, but never turned out to be. Because people just decided not to go out and watch it. With the exception of Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But Fall Guy was supposed to be start of it. I love this movie. The chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt is really good. The action stunts are fantastic, especially when you see how they did them. It was just a very fun ride. Very, very fun ride. But no one saw it. No one went out to see it. And that's a little unfortunate. You know, and it didn't help that 2 weeks after its release in theaters, you could easily now rent it or own it on digital. So obviously, a lot of people are going to say, well, if I want to watch it, I might as well just wait till it comes out at home. And it did. So very unfortunate. I feel like this movie should have had a better shot, honestly. Marvel Fall Guy is a good movie to watch with friends and family. Oh, I agree. That's why, in my mind, it's like the perfect theater going movie for the summer. If this movie, I think, came out in June or July, it probably would have done a lot better, in my opinion. Right. And then, like I said, we have the exception to what I just said. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, really well done movie. I loved their progression in the story post Caesar, with a new family that we're going to be following, new storyline, a new revelation that humans are around. They're not all dumb, and they're looking to kind of quote unquote make a comeback. So I wonder if they're going to follow the storyline that there's someone strapped in space, eventually will crash land, and that's going to start a whole thing. So I really hope that we get to see more of this, because I like where they're going with this storyline. 4 out of 5. That's how I ranked it there. Lovebug, who's your favorite singer or rapper? I don't listen to a lot of new music. So a lot of the things I will say is like, it will go back to like old school stuff. So rapper, I would say Biggie has always been a favorite of mine. Notorious B.I.G. Always, I'm an East Coast guy, so I'm always going to love his stuff. I'm a big Tribe Called Quest guy. I love that group. They're from Queens, so I'm a little biased, but that's the stuff I grew up listening to, right? So I love Tribe. Singer wise, I mean, I love groups. There aren't that many individual singers that I would say are my favorites. Of course, I go back to the classics: Prince, Michael Jackson, Madonna. Those are some of my favorites I grew up listening to. I love groups like Weezer, Smashing Pumpkins, the Beatles. Still great stuff. I'm very old school. If you were to ask me about like new people today, the only thing I know, obviously Taylor Swift, because you can't not know her, right? But I don't listen to a lot of her music. But there are some songs that she does that I think, oh, that's really nice. I like Dua Lipa. Not because she's a good-looking woman, because she is, but there are some songs I'm like, some of her songs remind me of old school disco and 80s music, the beats and the way the music is put together. So I'll say that. What about you, Lovebug? Who are some of your favorites? Arnold thinks the live stream calms him down for the next day. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. You know that. Thank you so much. Marvel Cuphead, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I was bored in the film. Oh, fell asleep. Wow, really? You are the first one I know, or that I have had a conversation with, that didn't like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Okay, I guess that wasn't a movie for you then. Did you like the franchise at all? I'm curious if you like the new franchise, and if you were like really eagerly anticipating this movie. Arnold going to go to sleep. Arnold has to wake up early in the morning. He has to go to work. So everybody wish Arnold a good evening. Arnold, always a pleasure. Looking forward to catching up with you again next week when I see you, hopefully. Have a brilliant night and have a good day at work tomorrow. Lovebug, Michael Jackson is your fave. Kind of hard not to agree. Michael Jackson is always a classic right there. All right, moving on to other movies I saw in the month of April. We had that anniversary re-release of Phantom Menace. It was nice to kind of see this movie in the big screen again after such a long time. And as I get older, I am learning to appreciate these prequels more and more. I'm not saying they're good movies. I still stand strong that they're not. But seeing younger kids watching these movies for the first time in the theater, I get it. I get it. For a lot of people, a lot of kids, this is their first experience with Star Wars. So I totally understand. So it's awesome. It's awesome to see their reactions. It's also funny to hear them call out certain things. And my favorite story of watching this in the theater, I had a father and son in front of me. And if you remember the movie, Anakin as a little boy, he always he gets overly excited. He's like, yippee, and all that. And the boy asks his dad out loud, why does he say yippee all the time? And his dad's just like, he's just a very excited kid. So I thought that was hilarious because I couldn't stop laughing when he said that. Marvel Cuphead, Planet of the Apes films, I enjoyed up to War of the Planet of the Apes. Okay. War was my favorite out of the trilogy, right? Is it the trilogy? Yeah. War was my favorite, especially if you watch them now. War and Dawn are my favorites. Rise doesn't hold up. I watched Rise this same week. I watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and I thought it was very cheesy. They were trying to be a little bit more campy in that one, trying to tie too much things back to the original Planet of the Apes movies from like the 60s and 70s. And they were really hoping that it was going to lean towards that way. And then that's when you got the new directing and writing for Dawn and War. And they went a completely different route, which I appreciated, right? So, and this is the same route we're continuing, I think, in Kingdom. So, personally, for me, I liked it, but again, movies hit people differently. So, sorry you didn't like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Love Buck, can't believe he died. I know it is tragic, but I don't want to say it's fitting. But an individual who had such a tragic upbringing and a very difficult life, at least he was able to have a moment where he was able to outshine things and just focus on the music and be the star that he turned out being. So at least we have that, so Michael Jackson will always be remembered. Next movie I saw, Boy Kills World. I was very curious about this movie because I really wanted to see Bill Skarsgård in an action film, especially knowing that he's going to be Eric Draven in a new Crow movie. Because we've seen him do horror. We've always seen him play the awkward guy. I want to see him do action and how he was going to do it. And I'll say this. As an action star, he's okay. However, it's hard for me to judge because he had no dialogue in this film. If you don't know the premise of this movie, he is mute because he had an accident as a kid that kind of got prevented him from talking. So he goes through the whole movie basically doing the action scenes, but has no lick of dialogue. So I don't know how that's going to translate when The Crow finally comes out, but let's just say I'm not really looking forward to that movie, but I'll give it a chance. But yeah, and the movie as a whole was okay. It was decent. It the way I described it is that it's an anime. It's a live action of an anime. It reminded me a lot of anime stuff. So if that's up your alley, then I say check it out when you have a chance. Love Bug, do I like furries? Not really. Furries is not something I'm into, but I don't kink shame and I don't discriminate. If people are into that stuff, and as long as they're not hurting anyone, by all means, do what they do. It's all good. Marvel says Crow remake looks good. I hope it's okay. I really do. I hope it's okay. I'm a huge fan of the original 90s one. That for me will forever be the Crow. Brandon Lee is brilliant and charming. That's why I'm curious as to what's going to happen in this new movie. So I'll give it a chance. We'll see what happens. All right. I think one of the most disappointing performances in the box office this year has been Furiosa. This is a movie that you would think would have been brilliant at the box office. No one wanted to see it. No one went out to see it. But funny enough, the minute it was available on streaming, I ran a poll on the channel and I asked, out of all these new movies coming out on video on demand this week, and Furiosa was one of them, what is the one you want to watch? Hands down, everyone wanted to see Furiosa. So what is it? Where's the disconnect? Is it because I don't want to see this in the theater? I don't want to spend $20 on a movie ticket, so I'd rather just wait at home. Is it just one of those situations? Would Furiosa have done better if it was released in the month of June or July? I think it might have. Because if you notice, all the better performing movies of the summer so far have been in June. School's out, more vacations, holidays. So I don't know. I think the whole summer movie season is changing. It's shifting. And it's not so much earlier anymore. I think it's becoming more and more later. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if my theory holds true. We'll know when we get into next year, the year after, and all that. So we'll see. But I loved Furiosa. I thought it was great. Anya Taylor-Joy, I'm a huge fan of hers. Chris Hemsworth, I thought, he did his shtick. Whatever. It worked. It all worked for me. So I liked it. 4 out of 5 for me. Back to Black was a biopic on Amy Winehouse. And I thought it was okay. I thought it was all right. If I always say, watch the A24 documentary. That is probably the best way to learn about Amy Winehouse. I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. As you could see, I rewatched it. Here, I will say the actress who's playing Amy, at times you really feel like she has transformed herself into Amy, but at other times it felt like she was doing a karaoke version of Amy. So take it as you will. But, that's just what I thought about it. Lovebug, thank you so much for the subscription. I really greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I have seen Inside Out too. And I'm going to get to that when I talk about the movies in June. But Inside Out 2 is probably by far one of my favorite movies of June and of the year so far. So good. So well done. Cuphead, Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. I thought Chris Thor, actor, was really good as a villain. I do too. I thought he did his thing. And I thought he was a good villain. Good back and forth between him and Anya Taylor-Joy. And I was hesitant as to how Anya was going to be the Furiosa character, especially since Charlize Theron did such a good job in Fury Road. But I thought she did a brilliant job. I thought she was very good at it. I think Anya Taylor-Joy is a good actress. So I was very happy to see it. And then to close out May, Jim Henson, Idea Man. Great documentary on Disney Plus. I really, really enjoyed it. Lovebug, are you leaving us? Bye-bye for now. I hope I get to see you again next time. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is for you. But thank you so much for checking out the stream. I really appreciate it. I'm a huge Jim Henson fan. Very much grew up with him. He's like a main staple in my childhood. Love him to death. This is a good documentary. I gave it 4 stars only because I knew most of everything already at that point. If you don't know much about Jim Henson, this is a must watch. You need to watch this because it explains the man behind the creations. Not so much focusing on the creations themselves. We have plenty of documentaries to talk about that. Street Gang for Sesame Street, and there are numerous other documentaries you could watch about the Muppets and all that. If you want to know more about the man himself, this is a great documentary to watch. So that kind of rounds out my May. Now we go into June. This is where we're starting to see the box office wake up more. And it started off with Bad Boys Ride or Die. It surprised me. I've said it before, it surprised me. And I kind of went through all of these movies when I recapped the June movies and how I ranked them. Bad Boys Ride or Die surprised me. I thought it was good. Inside Out 2, brilliant movie. Really enjoyed it. Watchers, very disappointed by it. Tuesday, didn't know anything about it. Really enjoyed it. I recommend it. Bike Riders, disappointment. Thelma, big surprise. Liked it. Kind of Kindness, well, I loved it. In a Violent Nature was good, but could have been better. And Quiet Place Day 1. I thought it was nice to be back into the world of Quiet Place and all that. So there you go. So those are the movies of 2024, the first half. And July is looking exciting. Maxine, I enjoyed. And Long Legs, I can't wait for all of you all to see it because that is going to be an amazing, amazing first watch for a lot of you. So there you go. Those are the movies of 2024. What are your thoughts on everything that we just went through and uncovered and all that? Love to hear your thoughts on all of it. As I am going to be on for like another 10 minutes, so we could talk about whatever you like. Marvel Cuphead. Sorry if my camera's shaking. I didn't realize I was hitting the table. Sorry about that. Tom Hardy was really good in film Bike Riders. The acting and the performances were great. The story, I just really wish was different. I think it was a missed opportunity. I thought it should have been more Goodfellas versus a memoir. But I don't take anything away from Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, Jodie Comer is fantastic. The acting in it is good. The story itself, I just wish was done differently. So I was a little disappointed by it, but it was decent. I believe some issues of the fans of Mad Max series, how much they screwed with the timeline of things. Yeah, well, that's the problem. And I think that's one thing George Miller has a problem with. There's no such thing as continuity at all with his movies. If you look at, which I did, I went back to watch all the original Mad Max movies, and it's almost as if nothing mattered with each movie. It's like, we're just going to do something different here. We're just going to do something different here. So there was no steady through line. But this is the first time that he gave us lore, right? Everything that we were introduced to in Fury Road was explained in Furiosa. We learned more about the towns. We learned more about the people ruling the towns, how people came into prominence. Like, it really gave us and filled in a lot of the gaps in the lore that we didn't know anything about watching Fury Road. So I enjoyed that, and I think if more and more people gave it a chance to see it for that, it's the first time we ever got that in any Mad Max storyline. So that's one of the reasons why I really enjoyed it, But I understand, I guess in a way, I do understand too why Mad Max is not a big deal for anyone, really. I think the reason why Fury Road did so well was word of mouth. I think people just said, hey, this is an amazing, action-packed, nonstop, adrenaline-filled movie, and you should watch it. And they're like, okay, I'm down for that. Perfect summer-type movie, and that's the only reason why I think that was so big. But I don't think people were chomping at the bits for a sequel or anything, or a prequel, even in that case. Hellboy, the Crooked Man trailer looked like a fan-made film, and do you think will still be a hit, flop, or bomb? So I haven't had a chance to see the trailer yet. I honestly didn't know they were making another Hellboy movie. I thought after the David Harbour one that they were going to stop making Hellboy movies. So when I saw that they released a trailer, it surprised me. I had no idea they were working on a new movie. I'll check out that trailer over the weekend, but I think it's not going to do so. It's not going to do well. I think people don't care about Hellboy. Right now, releasing anything superhero related is tough unless you are Deadpool and Wolverine, because there is fatigue, I think, amongst people. I don't have it, but I can understand why other people have it. I think it's just, I don't think people would care, honestly. And if the marketing is not there, no one will know about this movie. Unless you are like following movie news and film news, if you are watching streams like this, if you're enjoying these type of conversations, of course you'll know about it. But general audiences don't. So I'm sure, and I haven't seen any movie poster at the movie theater for it. So I bet you it's going to come out and people are like, what? There's a new Hellboy movie? Is Ron Perlman still in it? I bet you're going to hear a lot of that. Oh, it has more of a horror feel? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll check out the trailer over the weekend. I agree with you, T. It is bad writing, but that's leading to tiredness. Because now I feel like there's a stigma. It's almost like how the genre was before X-Men, right? Anytime anyone put out any kind of superhero or comic book related movie out, people were like, "Oh, that's not going to be any good," because none of them are good, right? And I feel like Marvel has done such a good job building such a huge fan base of non-comic book fans to love these movies. And then because of the poor handling, the bad writing, the bad directing, the bad planning, the abundance of Disney Plus shows that they put out in such a short period of time, and kind of forcing the audience to say, well, if you didn't watch this, you're not going to understand what we talk about here. That led to people being they're losing faith and interest. So it's almost like we're reverting back to those times back in the day. I think Deadpool and Wolverine has a good shot at course correcting things. I'm hoping, at least, because I still love these movies. I really do. But I think for general audiences, they're starting to get tired of it all. Because now every time they think superhero or comic book movie, they're like, uh-oh, it's probably going to be shit. Which shouldn't be the case. If it's Sony, yes. Because I feel like, we were just talking about it before. And Sony is just doing a bad job at maintaining their own Spider universe, with the exception of the animated Spider-Verse films. Those are the movies that are keeping them afloat, because those are such well done, brilliant movies. It's just kind of a shame that they can't use that same formula for the live action stuff. Spin-offs of spin-offs, yeah. Just so much introduction of characters and not following up. Like, again, I bring this up all the time. Where is Shang-Chi? What's happening to the Eternals? Where's Kit Harington's character? Blade, we see, is a hot mess. They can't seem to get that right. Moon Knight, what's happening to that character? It's crazy. I think Venom 3 will do okay because there's just a lot of people who are fans of that franchise. And I'm actually, honestly, I'm actually kind of surprised, because I thought the first movie was okay. And again, this is just me, right? So I thought the first movie was okay. The second movie was, oh, what did they do? I don't know what they did there. But people liked it, So I think the third movie will do well. I saw a lot of people reacting to that first Venom 3 trailer, and they were losing their ever-loving minds. So I think it will do all right. It's just not for me. It's not working for me. I don't know, Cuphead, do you like the Venom movies? Why? I can't understand why have Spidey villains or characters. Well, they were trying something new, right? Because I think they started to see what Disney was doing, with like Maleficent and all that, and say, hey, why don't we tell the perspective of the bad guy? And I think that's what Sony was trying to do here, and say, hey, let's build up this whole Sinister Six thing. We'll tell separate stories about the villains in the Spider universe, and we'll all build up towards this giant universe movie. They're trying to do the same Marvel formula that they're doing there, and it's just not working, because I think they just don't have a good plan. See, Cuphead loved Venom versus Carnage, and that's great. I'm glad you did. So like I said, I think there is a fan base for that, and that's fine. For me, I just don't get it. It's not working for me, unfortunately. And I loved Venom as a kid. I thought Venom was next to Craven, Venom was one of Spider-Man's best, villains, right? But he's also not really so much of a villain. He's just an unfortunate product of an alien symbiote that's trying to take over, right? So it was kind of nice to kind of see also some redemption arcs involved too. At one point, I believe he was a good guy. So it's just very interesting to see that. But it is kind of weird to not have, like T said, a Venom storyline that didn't start with Spider-Man to begin with. Because in the comic books, it was Spider-Man who got the symbiote first. And then had to get rid of it. And then Eddie Brock came around and he became Venom. What were they thinking with Bloodshot? That's Vin Diesel, right? Vin Diesel tries so hard to do these movies. I don't know what's happening. That was such a disaster. No one saw that movie, and I don't blame them. And I hear he's trying to bring Riddick back. I'm so curious how that's going to turn out. Beverly Hills Cop, the original team, would you buy those skins in Fortnite if that was true? If I played Fortnite, I think it would be hilarious if I had an Axel Foley skin. I think that would be brilliant. Running around as Axel Foley, just make sure you have the laugh. Give me the laugh. Because I would just putz around in that game, running around laughing everywhere. But I don't play Fortnite, so. But I love what Epic does with all the skins. They know how to do good movie tie-ins for Fortnite. I give them kudos for that. That's a brilliant business move. Vin should have kept with Riddick movies instead of. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I thought Riddick was a very interesting sci-fi franchise that I thought they did a very good job with. But I think, Vin just got in way over his head. And I think he just really wanted to become a Schwarzenegger. He wanted to become a Stallone. And he tried to create so many different franchises. Triple X, Fast and Furious, Riddick. And it just got too much for him. And I know he was really hoping that Bloodshot would become his comic book movie franchise, and
You blew it!
yep, didn't work. But give credit where credit's due. He has made a multi-billion-dollar franchise with Fast and the Furious, and he's going to milk that every bit he can. So I give him credit for that. Because no matter how terrible the movie is, and believe me, the last several movies were god-awful, they still are major, major hits at the box office, especially internationally. So, gotta give him credit for that. I agree with you, Cuphead. I think Jason Momoa was the one bright moment in that movie because he was just having the time of his life. You could tell he's having a good time, you know, and it was hilarious. It was funny. You know. The rest of the movie, And now, what was that room that they were in where you had Brie Larson and I forgot who she's talking to, and it was like they tried to make it so futuristic, as if it was like Tony Stark who built that room with like all the floating panels and this and that. Just like where are we? What time are we in? It was just so crazy to see all that stuff. I also thought John Cena was good in that franchise too. You know, I think John Cena is becoming a really good actor. And then when you look at all the people who went from wrestling to acting, obviously The Rock is a major star, mainly because of his charm and charisma. Uh, but I would have to say, acting wise, I think Bautista and Cena are going to outshine The Rock eventually. How do common thieves become spies? uh, I don't know. It's like that whole premise is like, well, if you can't beat them, let's have them join us. Or whatever. Or it's another one of those things where again, the funny thing about the whole Fast and Furious thing is, how does this ragtag group of muscleheads, all they care about is racing their cars and all that, and very much to your point, T, how did they all of a sudden know how to pull a heist, become spies, like you say, with no formal training or anything like that? These are just people that race cars. And I forget which Fast and Furious movie this was, but I love Detective Dom. When Dom was investigating the death of Letty, and he was at the scene of the crime, and all of a sudden he became Aragorn, right? He's like putting the pieces together. He's like, oh, she crashed here, and all of this kind of. I'm like, really, bro? Hey, it works for people. How does cars drive through fire and blow up? And that makes no sense. How does a car go into space? That's when you knew that there's no such thing as reality in this movie anymore, in these movies. Bautista facts, he's been solid in pretty everything he's been in. I say that all the time. Go back to his performance in Blade Runner 2049. That's probably one of the best performances I've ever seen him do. He has improved each time he plays Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy. And, I want to see him do more dramatic roles. I think he could be a very fine dramatic actor. He has that something in him. And John Cena has great comedic timing. And seeing his transformation in the Peacemaker series with the drama, unbelievable. Unbelievable. He's very good. 2049 is so underrated. I agree. More people should be talking about that movie. Great, great science fiction film. I won't say it's better than the original Blade Runner, because I've heard some people say that, but it's a very good follow-up. Denis Villeneuve. He knows how to do sci-fi. Sci-fi with a good, very deep story. This is what happens when you get a good director who knows how to write and all that stuff. Knows how to direct. Knows how to not only visually tell a story, but have it carry through in the actual story itself and in the dialogue. Unlike Zack Snyder, which is the complete opposite. What's Eddie Murphy talking about? He wants to do a Shrek 5. According to him, it's in the works. He gave an interview with an outlet, and they asked him. They said, Inside Out 2, big hit. Returning to a franchise. Despicable Me, big hit. Kung Fu Panda, all that. What's the update on Shrek? Are we going to see a new Shrek? And he said that he recorded some lines for it already. For a Shrek 5, and apparently there's going to be a Donkey spinoff. That's what he said in an interview. We'll see. I mean, would people care about Shrek? Well, I guess they would, and I'll say that because Puss in Boots, that movie that came out last year or 2 years ago, did pretty well, and when I saw it, I was actually pleasantly surprised in how good that movie was. My friend kind of forced me to watch it. I was hesitant, but I was glad that he did because I liked it. Do we get another Blade Runner? I would like to. Oh, we're getting a series on Amazon. We're getting I think it's Blade Runner 2099. Wait, don't quote me on that. But we are getting a Blade Runner TV series. Michelle Yeoh is in it. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, color me curious. Michelle Yeoh is in it. Blade Runner series. Yeah, it's Blade Runner 2099. Yeah. Blade Runner 2099. Let me read who the cast is so far in this series. It's coming out to on Amazon. Michelle Yeoh is in it. Hunter Schafer will be in it. Let's see if anyone else stands out. Not really. The plot is being kept under wraps, but it's currently in production in Prague and plans to also shoot in Barcelona. So there you go. I would be excited to see that. I think honestly that is like the next best thing to do for the Blade Runner series. Make it a series. Instead of a movie, make it a series. Because if you remember 2049, no one saw it. No one went to see it. It didn't do that well in the box office. You know, despite how good it is, no one went to really see it. So I think that's the next best thing to do. Turn it into a streaming show. And we know Amazon has the money. Look how much money they poured into Rings of Power. So at least visually, it should look good. Lovebug is back. What happened, Lovebug? You couldn't stay away? You were enjoying the stream too much? Cuphead, did you ever see Eddie Murphy live when he... No. I wish I could I was able to see him live, but no, I never seen him live. Hopefully we get a good Mass Effect series if it's still a thing. I think that's still a thing. I haven't heard anything new about it, but I think that's still a thing. Are you a big fan of the video game franchise, T? I've only played the first one, so I can't speak on the whole franchise as a whole. But from what I played, I liked it. Time. Those games, they take a little bit too long for me to play through, so it's not a lack of wanting, it's a lack of time. What's everyone planning to watch this weekend? Now that we're in the weekend, let me know in the comments. Mass Effect favorite games ever? You and a bunch of my I have a lot of friends who feel the same way. Prime, yes, that cartoon series, the Batman cartoon series is I'm looking forward to that. What, Cape Crusader it's called? That looks really good. I like that it's being done by Bruce Timm, the original guy who did the animated series. In my opinion, one of the best animated series we've ever got. And I love the aesthetics. I love that it looks very old school, like vintage Batman. Year one Batman. I love that. The voice cast is great. Obviously, no one can ever replace Conroy as the voice of Batman, but I think this will do well. I can't wait. It looks good. I'm very much excited for it. What about you, Cuphead? You looking forward to that? Who else is looking forward to the new animated Batman show coming out on Prime? Also, again, I'll be here for I'll give it like another 5 minutes. I'll make it an even 4 o'clock as I check out. But make sure to hit that like button on the live stream if you're new, if you're watching for the first time. Would greatly appreciate if you do that. T's looking forward to the Batman series. Awesome. when that comes out, I don't know if they're releasing it all in one shot or if they're doing the week to week, but you could expect me to be talking about it. I'll be reviewing that for sure because I am really much looking forward to it. That Batman animated series still holds up to this day. I have the Blu-ray set, and from time to time I'll pop it in and I'll just randomly watch an episode. And it's such a good series. So good. Cuphead. Yeah, I'm really excited because I always enjoy DC cartoon films and TV series. Awesome. Awesome. What Cuphead, what is your favorite animated film that DC has done? Do you have a favorite? Is it part of Gunn's planned DCU? I don't think so. I think um I think this is like an Elseworlds thing. Even though isn't Matt Reeves involved in the writing of it? I think he is. I could be wrong. Don't take my word on that. It looks like it won't be a part of it, but maybe it is. I don't know. Batman animated, Batman Under Red Hood. That's a good one. I love Mask of the Phantasm. That's one of my favorites. Mask of the Phantasm is like a brilliant, brilliant movie. As far as like the animated movies, like especially like the direct to DVD ones, I love Flashpoint. I thought that was really well done. No, I'm not crying. Why did it look like I was crying? No. Maybe I'm just getting a little tired. You know, I've been streaming almost 3.5 hours, so that's why I'll be signing off soon. But any last things you guys want to talk about? By all means, let's converse. Let's chat. What's going, Naval? Checking in on the vertical stream. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. You know what I think? One of the DC animated shows that I thought was canceled way too soon was the Green Lantern show. I really enjoyed that show. I think they canceled it too soon. It's no Justice League. It's not like that, but I thought it was a very decent show. I think it had a lot of potential. And I didn't mind the CG animation in it too. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But I'm excited for the new Lanterns show that they're working on for Max. I think that's going to be a lot of fun when they do that. I'm curious who they're going to cast. They posted new pics of Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl from the Superman film. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I'm trying not to look too much into those offs, you know, the paparazzi like photos. Yeah, again, I wanna I wanna reserve my judgments for when I actually see like a trailer or whatever. But from what I've seen, it looks like Gunn is going straight up comic book, like off the pages of the comic book. I'll just never forget Mr. Terrific looks just like his representation in the comic book. You know, so it's exciting that this is actually happening. You know, so I can't wait for it to finally come out. Do I think Eddie Murphy and Anya Taylor-Joy will join Marvel Films or DC? Eddie Murphy, no. I think he doesn't get that whole thing. Anya Taylor-Joy, I won't be surprised if eventually she will. I mean, she's in Dune. Spoiler alert, if you didn't watch Dune 2, she's hinted at the end as the sister, right? So she's definitely going to be in Dune 3 or 4, whatever. So she's definitely not going to be a stranger to major franchises. So I think Anya will definitely eventually be in one of these movies. Justice League International. Wasn't there supposed to be a Justice League Society? Or a Justice Society? right? With Shazam. That was like the big post-credit scenes of Shazam Fury of the Gods or whatever the name of. I wonder if he's gonna consider to actually include that or continue that premise in his version of DC. It'll be interesting to see. Also, I do apologize. I'm noticing like the stream elements auto chat stuff keeps coming up. It's coming up quite a lot. I'm going to try to adjust the frequency there. I apologize. I know being in the chat that could be very annoying, so I do apologize. Bautista will most likely get DCU part. Yeah, I'm hearing the word on the street is Bautista, Chris Pratt, I think Karen Gillan. They've all mentioned that they would love to work with Gunn and his new DC universe. So I won't be surprised. And it kind of just shows you the type of director he is, that you have such a loyalty towards him. So they said Star-Lord's going to be back. I don't know what that means. So I'm sure Chris will still be in the MCU, but it'll be interesting to see if he ever jumps ship and goes to DC. But Bautista has said already he's done with Marvel, so I'm not going to be surprised there. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. Billy Green, I was sad he looked so old in Beverly Hills Cop 4. Are you talking about Taggart? Is that the actor who played Taggart? Reinhold looks really old too. Judge Reinhold. Oh my goodness. He looked in a way he almost looked out of it. But yeah, Billy Green is, well, I mean, they're all old. You know? So it's hard to see them age like that, you know. But it's even harder when you see them standing next to Eddie Murphy, because Eddie Murphy does not look that old. Chris Pratt as Booster Gold, I could totally 1000% see that. I can totally see that. Oh, it's already 4:06. All right, guys. I hate to cut it like this, but you know, I'm enjoying the conversation, but I do have things I need to do for today, and you know, carry on with my Friday. So I do appreciate everyone. Thank you so much to everyone who are tuned in. Thank you so much for the fun conversations. T, Marvel Cuphead, Lovebug, you know, Star-Lord from earlier, Scorched, Arnold, you know, so many to name, so many to go through. Yadav, I hope I see him back. Tiny G, maybe the conversation wasn't so much for him. I understand. Chris, always a pleasure. I want to make sure I don't forget anyone. Am I Dead Yet? Great to see them back. Thomas chimed in earlier in the stream. Great seeing him. Michael Jackson fan from earlier as well. Pleasure being on the stream with all of you guys here. Awesome. Had a great fun time. I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekends. Like I mentioned before, I won't be back live until Monday. We'll talk about the weekend box office. I'm hearing things about Despicable Me 4 being big. So we'll talk about that. And my review on the latest episode of House of the Dragon. So hopefully I'll get to see you then. Thank you, Marvel Cuphead. I really appreciate it. But as I head on out, make sure you all have a wonderful time. May have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe. I will catch all of you in the next one. Peace out. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.